It's being exhausted is a daily part of our life, right?
Yes.
Especially when you're a dad.
It's worse. Dad and business owners are worst.
Exactly. Exactly.
All right, let's do this. You ready?
Yeah, man.
All right, welcome to another episode of the Grinds My Gears podcast. Today I have with me a good friend. I call him Professor, but it's Patrick Brophy. What's up, Pat? How you
Hey,
doing, bro?
brother. Also known as the Silver Grappler. So I
Yeah,
started a YouTube channel called the Silver Grappler, and that's my new nickname.
is it?
Yeah.
Because you're so gray and old.
You know what? I've been silver and white since I was like 18 years old, right? And then, guys used to call me the Silver Fox, but that's been taken by a really great jiu-jitsu guys. So
Yeah.
I thought of the Silver Grappler
I,
because I never thought of myself
look at
as
that!
as
Look at that shirt right here,
oh,
man.
you're getting old, brother.
I fucking hate it. I hate it. I
You're
hate it.
getting old.
We were just talking about like right before I started recording. You're like, "How are you, Ash?" I'm like, "I'm fucking tired."
How you feeling though?
Like physically,
Yeah,
it's the best I've felt in 2 years.
right on.
I mean, opening a gym is not fucking easy,
Yeah.
right? And then so I spent a lot of time not taking care of myself, right?
Well, the gym's first, your students are first, and the family, and then you.
Yeah, exactly. And so, like for the last, I would say 2 years, I've been extremely sick.
Oh,
I'm always sick because I'm always overworking. I still
right.
do like I was doing 80 plus hours a week, right?
Yep.
And then so now I've reduced to 70, right? So it's actually a big lifestyle change this year. I decided like in January I was gonna say fuck you to a lot of people in a nice way, not in a
Yeah,
mean
in the
way,
nicest possible way.
right? Because as you know, you teach a lot too. Like
Yeah.
I primarily doing stuff between 5 to 10 p.m., right? Then I get home and then I mean a lot of my business before this was like private training clients,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And before I opened the gym, primarily I would work in the mornings. So I would only take clients in the mornings because I
Right.
wanted to keep my afternoons open so I could train, right? And that was what was fucking me. I was
Right.
pretty much getting home, closing the gym, getting home, and then having to wake up at like 6 a.m. So the lack of sleep and all that kind of stuff. And so this year I decided, hey, fuck it. I'm
Yeah.
going to I put our business in a good position where that doesn't matter anymore. Those morning clients didn't matter.
Right.
So I said, you know what? I'm gonna get rid of them. Not in a bad way, but I'm
Right.
just gonna say some of them I moved to afternoons, and then otherwise
Well,
the
you
other
need
ones,
to shift. You need to shift because you need that life work balance, my friend. Like
yeah,
that's one of the keys. So when I owned the gym, remember I opened a gym called York Judo and BJJ years ago.
yep,
Man, I was still working a full-time job
yep,
and I was there 6 days a week. You want to talk about burning the candle on both ends. And it was unfortunate I had to sell it during COVID, but at the same time my family got to see me again.
yeah,
That was
exactly, yeah.
it's like,
I
oh, this is what it's like to be at home.
yeah. One of the biggest problems I'm having is I don't get to see my son as much as I want to.
Right.
Because my daughter, like, it's not necessarily quality time with her, but
Yeah.
because she's training so frequently, she's here with me. So I get to see her. My son is 5. He'll be, I think in June, we started him last June training because
Right.
he was a bit of a shit. So I don't get to spend that time. Even if I'm not, even if I'm teaching and I'm in the training room over there
Yep.
training people, like I know my daughter's here. You know what I mean? But my son,
That's what kept me going at my gym, because essentially what ended up happening, my daughter and son, who started at 5, he was around 4 or 5 years old when I opened the gym. They lived at the gym.
yeah,
They were a part of the essence of the gym. They were always around. They were always training, but if they weren't training, they were playing in the office, playing with other kids. And to be there, and what I'm struggling now is not being the owner anymore, and the kids are older. My daughter's 16 now, or she's going to be 16.
yeah,
She's not as interested in jiu-jitsu anymore. So I'm going through a weird time right now because I'm the head of the teen program, so I'm still heavily involved with our teens. I kind of miss when my kids are not around,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah,
I kind of just expect them to be part of the class. The funny thing is I kind of ignore them when I'm teaching,
yep,
but they're there. They're
yeah,
there, right?
yeah. And then, well, that was my daughter's issue, and because how we run things here is because we're a smaller gym. I have the kids going at the same time. I have
Right.
all 4 years old all the way to 13, but I split them into two. So I have the smaller kids doing with our assistant coaches, with our blue belts,
Yep.
doing more basics and play based kind of learning. And then I take the more older kids because they can handle the
Yep.
technical stuff.
You can beat them
Um,
up.
yeah. Well, I don't really want to beat them up, but
Oh, I meaning
yeah,
I'm kind of an old sergeant
yeah.
with my teen program. So
Well, no, I'm hard on them. I'm hard
I
on
know
them,
you
but
are.
but
I
but
know. I was
so
leading you there.
so so what I was getting at was because my daughter is here so frequently and she's training more than other kids.
Right.
She only just turned 7, so for a long time I had her on the other side doing the basics.
Right.
And what I noticed was her performance went down. She was performing to
Of
the
course.
level of the kids, right?
Right.
I'd put her in tournaments and stuff like that, and she was underperforming. And it was mainly because her training partners were still developing, but she
Yep.
had already surpassed that fundamental stage. And then once I moved her over to the big side, and so she was the smallest kid, but she's training with
No.
8 years
She's
old,
training.
10 years old,
Yeah.
getting crushed. And then now what
Yep.
I've realized is she's 7 and she's crushing 10-year-olds. Like
Yep.
when we have trial classes come in and that kind of stuff, I'm not irresponsible with her in terms of her safety, but if I
Yeah.
see a smaller 9 or 10-year-old um that's still bigger than her but small enough, I'll be like, go beat him up, right? And then
Oh my
it's
God. I used to do the same thing with my
right,
kids
and
because I knew my kids, I could trust my kids at the same time
yeah,
when they're beating the person up or giving them a hard time. I know they're being safe about it.
yeah, and see
That's
the
cute.
double-edged sword on it is the parent of the kid who's coming in for that trial guys to say like, holy crap, I want my kid to be like that.
Yeah.
Look at that little girl beating him
That
up.
was the purpose.
And then for my daughter, her confidence goes through the roof because I'll go
Yeah.
home and I'll be like, you know that kid you went with today? She's like, yeah. I'm like, he was 10 years old, right? She's like, I beat up a 10-year-old. I'm like, yeah, you beat up a 10-year-old. So I mean, I've seen it play out now. Like there's a couple things I want to talk to you about too. That
Sure,
this
man.
past weekend we had the Ontario Open,
Yeah.
and so my daughter's biggest issue is performance anxiety, right?
Mm.
When she's in the gym, and this is most people, this is myself included, yourself included, when you're in the gym, you're a beast
Yep.
because everything is comfortable, everything is you're in your comfort zone. And then obviously when you go to a competition, it takes you right out of the comfort zone, right? And so what
Yep.
I've noticed with her, and this is why I encourage every parent to put your kid in jiu-jitsu
Mm-hmm.
or to put your kid in Muay Thai, because what I noticed, and I'm not have noticed this if she was doing any other sport, right? If she was doing a team sport, you won't notice this
No.
because you can hide behind the team,
Yeah.
right? She would
There's
beat
no
the
hiding on the mats.
there's no hiding on the mat. She
Nope.
would beat the crap out of 8, 10-year-olds on the mats. She would get on the competition floor and she would freeze up.
Yep.
So she's looking all over, like the Ontario Open. It's these big freaking stadiums, and then
It's the
these
biggest tournament in
right,
all of Canada.
and
It's
then
that was the first one I missed in a decade, by the way.
yeah,
So yeah.
and then but even the other smaller tournaments, it's in a
Yeah.
big gymnasium,
Yeah.
big community center, whatever. She's instead of staring at her opponent, she's looking up because
Yeah.
she's her anxiety of this big environment, and she would underperform. Right, her first tournament she did really well because it was smaller kids, and then I noticed she would underperform on the other ones, and so
You want me
for
to give you a trick?
well, I got her. She did fantastic this
Did she?
past weekend.
Good.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
great.
So a couple things I did a little bit differently is I took her to a couple of friends'
Yep.
gyms to train with the other kids, so she gets kind of out of that comfort zone.
Yep.
I only did it a few times, maybe
Right.
twice.
Put
But
her in a different environment.
yeah,
That's
and
that's
so
important.
that was one thing I did, and then but the switch over to the bigs and working with the bigger kids really helps. Like
Sure.
I think it was on Monday when they finalized the divisions. They contacted me. She didn't have anyone in her division, right? Because I
Yep.
don't really agree with how they did it, but they split up the kids according to age as opposed to the age bracket. So where she was losing last year was because it was 6'7", and she had just turned 6.
Yep.
Right, so she
That's
was the
common.
smaller
Of
girl
course.
in the group. So she
Of
was
course.
losing not because she was
It's
less
a big
skilled.
different. A year is a big different at that
Yeah,
age, right?
and
Especially.
so it wasn't a skill thing; it was just a
Yeah.
size thing.
Sure.
The other girls were bigger. So now this year she was on the bigger side, but the Ontario Open decided to further segregate the brackets, which I'm not a big fan of, but whatever. So she didn't have anybody. So I was like, all right, well, they wanted to do co-ed division. I said no, I don't believe in that. We're fighting against boys and girls sports. What the fuck?
My daughter had to do a
Right.
few of those,
Yeah. So
especially in
like,
judo.
yeah, she did. She did one for her first tournament, and I was just not happy with it.
Yeah.
I like in the gym, it's fine, but in competition, girls deserve
Yeah.
their own divisions.
I completely agree.
So I don't give a shit what jiu-jitsu community thinks. Fuck you. Like girls should compete against girls, boys should compete against boys. The
Yep.
co-ed shit needs to stop on all levels. They can train in the gym together, but
Yep.
competition should be for females only. So I said no to that, and then I asked her, I'm like, "You've been training hard. The only other option is to go up to the 8-year-old gray belt division." Now I'm hard on her. You know how I wanted to talk about lineage in a second, but
I'm hard on my kids.
I'm hard on her. So
yeah.
she's been training for almost 4 years now,
Yep.
and I just barely awarded her gray belt in February.
Well, our lineage is pretty tough when
yeah.
it comes to getting belts, eh?
Exactly. So like according, and I'll go into deeper in that in a second, because it's pissing me off with the community right now.
Yeah.
But so she was training. I started her when she was basically 3.
Yeah.
Right. And so she's been training for over 4 years. I just awarded it to her. She just turned 7 in February, so she's not really a full grown 7-year-old.
Yep.
And she said, "No, Daddy, let me do the 8-year-old division." So
Good for her.
I said, okay. And she lost her first match, but she didn't really lose it. It was an advantage. I don't count those, right? The girl was way bigger than her. Like if you see the photo, the girl was way bigger. Her guard looked fantastic. The girl never scored a friggin' point on her. If this was a real fight, she was the one that was doing it. It was just because
she was doing the work.
Yeah, the girl on the top was on top, so the advantage, right?
Yep.
Which advantage is bullshit, but you know what I mean.
Yep.
And then in the second match, she was so disappointed, and I'm like, you know what? Go be angry.
Yep.
And she went and she mauled the second girl and choked her out in a minute.
That's what I used to tell my kids. I go, get angry, just get angry. Now let me give you a tip, because again, you're an amazing coach. I've seen the progression of your team, and it's fun to watch, and you're doing an amazing job, man. But I've taught hundreds and hundreds of, probably over 1,000 kids have come and gone through my gym, including me coaching and putting my kids in all the tournaments. It comes down to you have to set them up in a routine, and that will occupy their mind when it comes to tournament day.
Yeah.
So I talk to the kids about, well, what are you eating? When are you getting there? How are you stretching? When are you stretching? What are you doing when you're stretching? So I kind of lay out this framework for them. And even at 7 years old, they're intelligent enough to kind of take some of that and run with it. I even and we rehearse this in class.
Yeah.
We even go through the motion of saying, listen, you're called up, you're standing up by right at the edge of the mat. They're about to bring you onto the mat. This is what's happening in your brain. I go, you're going to feel absolute panic. Yeah. I'm telling you right now, you will be scared. And they're going to be like, the ones that have competed, like, yeah. They don't realize it's nerves and their adrenaline just going 100 miles an hour, right?
Yeah.
And I said, listen, here's what you're going to do. When you step on the mat, you do something with your feet. In wrestling, we used to slap ourselves. In jiu-jitsu, we kind of clean our feet. We do a bow. And then I tell them, as soon as you do that bow, you're ready to go. You need to focus and you're ready to fight. And the world, we kind of talk about your focus, you zone in, nothing else matters. You go, I promise you're not going to be nervous anymore. And it sounds simple, but for a child, it's
huge.
It's huge. It's huge. It's just you're telling them how to think, right? And you're also strengthening them. You're creating little monsters that way.
And
been a huge success for me using that method.
Yeah. And I use a similar method because
I know you do.
The idea is I try to, like, for example, when because I have I'm an MMA gym, so I have striking too. Like, I have a couple guys fighting this weekend for the nationals, right?
Nice.
You get to there and you'll see them try to start shadow boxing and shit. I'm like, no, what the fuck you doing? Our fight's not for like 3 hours.
Yeah, relax.
All right, sit down, chill. That's just all nerves, right? So the idea and how I try to recreate another day at the gym.
Yep.
So, and it's something that I think other teams are kind of noticing, especially in striking. When we do our kickboxing fights, is we'll be in the back room or wherever they are. I'll tell the guys to bring a big speaker. We'll put on music and we'll tell racist jokes and people can
chill out.
People can judge us if we're telling some risky jokes. I don't give a fuck. That's how we are at the gym. I'm sorry. Now I've just told everyone we're a racist gym, right? But that's how we are at the gym.
Come on. We came from the same gym, so we know.
You know what I mean? So
hey, we're all brothers and sisters. That's the thing.
And that's what keeps the guys kind of relaxed, kind of like. And then also too, what it also does is it keeps the results not important, because it is not important.
Yeah,
wins or losses to me I don't give a shit, especially at the amateur level, which is most athletes, right? In martial arts as an amateur. Even these guys who like to pretend like there's some elite jiu-jitsu guys, you're fucking amateurs, so shut the fuck up.
Unless you're making money, that's exactly. You're not a professional.
Well, we're gonna get into that. We got lots of time. I want to touch on a lot of that bullshit. But you're an amateur athlete. It doesn't fucking matter. So we just turned into another day at the gym, and essentially you should feel like you're just hanging out with the guys after the rolls or after the rounds, before the fight.
Yep.
And that way, what I end up doing is, like, I'll look at my time and be like, okay, now, all right, get up, let's fucking go. Right. And then
I'm a bit different though for myself. Like I I'm a huge competitor. Like white belt to black belt. Like, I try to compete. I haven't as much lately due to some illnesses, but I love competition because I come from wrestling and we competed all the time. I'm very much that chill, joke around with your buddies, but I like to internalize. I like to put my music on and I go lay down in a corner.
Yeah.
And I just kind of, all I'm doing is resting and having a little light snack here and there. And I kind of internalize the whole experience, if you will. Right.
Yeah. And everybody's different.
Everyone's a bit different, but the chillness is the same. The chillness.
I just try to do the same thing with everybody. Yeah. I don't give a fuck if you like to be in the corner or whatever. Yeah. This. No,
I'm the guy in the tournament who's laying with his head covered, having a nap.
Yeah, I used to do that, and I mean, there's photos of me backstage before MMA fights of just trying to take a nap.
Yeah,
and what I've kind of realized is, as I got older, I mean, unfortunately, who knows where my path leads now, but as I got older, I realized I should have just been fucking around.
Yeah,
that's just me. I should have just been fucking around, and then when coach says, "Okay, it's time to get serious, let's warm up," then we get serious and warm up, and I feel like that way for our team and for most athletes works better.
Yep.
It really depends on your gym, because not as many gyms are as fun as we are. I'll just straight up say that.
I agree. 100%.
My personality is a whole lot different than a lot of other people. And I think that's what we've been so successful, because people gravitate towards that openness, right? I kind of, the one thing I kind of tell people is, you get what you see. Right. I'm gonna train your ass off, and I'm gonna like if you're a female or a male, I'm going to turn you into a man or a woman,
Monster.
right?
I'd say monster.
A man. I had one guy this past weekend, white belt, and I was really looking at him to see how his performance was because technically his technique is ready for the blue, but maturity wise, he's not ready for the blue. Right?
Right.
And that's a lost art. We'll get into that in a second because I wanted to talk to you about that lineage thing you put out the other day, right?
Yeah.
But like, so I was really watching him, and his first match, I had another girl going at the same time, so I kind of saw it from the other side. I had another coach kind of coaching with him, Matt, and then so I saw it from the other side. So I finished with her, and then I walked over to him, and he's not as committed as he should be for how talented he is. So he's not training as much as he is. He just did this competition. Right. He was playing guard the whole time. He won the match, but he fucking exhausted, right? And so he goes into the second match, and I said, you need to just be on top. We're a smash pass team. Get the fuck on top. Stop wasting time on the guard. The guard is for if you get put in the guard, not voluntarily going to the guard, right? And he came out of that match, won it again, and then he was just coming back exhausted, right? So one of the things I do with the athletes, especially jiu-jitsu, because jiu-jitsu is multiple matches in one day, and they're not fights. I hate when people call them matches. Fights. Yep. All these little
I say fight by accident, but I know they're matches.
PSA, all you fucking jiu-jitsu guys saying I have a jiu-jitsu fight. You don't have a fucking fight. You don't know what it's like to be in a fight. Shut the fuck up. You fucking cowards. It's not a fight, it's a match. If you're not getting punched, it's a fucking match. Combat jiu-jitsu is a fight.
Yeah.
Regular sport
jiu-jitsu. Remember when we used to train the combat jiu-jitsu?
Yes, I still fucking do it. So all these
Of course you do. I don't do it as much.
All these little fucking pussies saying I have a jiu-jitsu fight. You don't have a jiu-jitsu fight. You have a match. Yeah. Anyway, back to this. So he comes off of after his second match, going into the third match, and he's just like, coach, I'm exhausted. And I flat out told, I wish I had a camera on me. I was like, because I asked him, I'm like, how do you feel? And the answer I expect is great.
Yeah. No matter how you feel, that should be the answer. No matter how you
feel, the answer is great.
You could be dying. You better say, I feel fantastic. I feel fantastic. I'm ready to go.
And so he said, I'm like, how do you feel? And he's like, oh, I'm tired. I'm like, man, the fuck up. I'm like, stand up tall because he's hunched over. I'm like, stand up tall. Take a deep breath and be a fucking man.
Chin up.
I'm like, men don't say they're fucking tired. Men get the job done. Right? And the fucking kid went out there and fought in the third. He lost in this third round because, you know, like white belt, the divisions are deep. So you have to win like 5 or 6 to get to the gold medal match.
Yep.
But he manned the fuck up. So I was proud of him for doing that. But like his last match, he was just exhausted. You could tell.
Sure.
Right? But, that's the approach I take when it comes to these guys, because especially the younger guys, we have a lot of teens at our gym. It just happened that we carry a huge teen population, right? And I treat them like men.
Yeah.
Right. And the females that we have, I treat them like grown ass women, because in other countries in the world, you're independent already. We live in a country where mommy and daddy still helps take care of it. Right. So they don't know that, like, when I say man the fuck up, I mean man the fuck up. It means get your head out of your ass. You have a job to do. Fucking finish it. Whether the result is what we want or not, who gives a shit? But
so we have a similar principle, although I don't tell them to man the fuck.
Oh, I told the man to fuck up. I wish I had a camera on me.
Actually, I should have a t-shirt, because my son often reverberates it back to me. I go, suck it up, buttercup. So, that should be. And the other one I wanted to paint on the walls originally. I'm going to get my t-shirt. It's something we used to say in wrestling: if you're not cheating, you're not trying. Right. Yeah. So, it's that hard mentality. Again, the soft kids that come into the gym, I can always tell right away, okay, they're either, if they stay, I guarantee they're going to be a different human in a year.
Yeah.
And without a doubt, if they stick with the program and go through the pain, it's amazing to see really soft-spoken kids and soft kids start off with me. And then a year later, they're this human, or they have a switch that they can turn
Yeah.
on when the game gets going, and it's amazing to see. Or they quit.
Yeah.
We have a lot of kids that just come for a few weeks and they think they're going to play games, and I go, I'm sorry, not in my program. I only have a few hours with you a week.
Yeah.
Right. There's those other kids that you'll be competing against, even if you don't compete. If one person's competing on the team, we're all competing. We're all getting ready for a tournament.
Yeah.
And if you're only training 3 hours in a week, well, guess what? The guy or girl that you might be competing against is training 5, 6 hours. What are you doing? What else are you doing? You're playing another sport? Are you come to more classes? Right. So I kind of have that mentality. So the kids that do stick with the program, they're really, I'm really proud of them. They're really
Yeah.
become same philosophy as you. They get hard and they learn, right? And we're tough on them.
Yeah. And
When it's time to, I do have a soft spot for the girls, so I'm like, and then if I see like they're really hurt or something's else is going on, it's like, oh, you'll bet.
Yeah.
Okay, hey, you okay? Like, what's going on here? Okay, get back in line. Okay, get back in line.
Yeah. No, I'm hard on all of them.
Yeah,
If I'm being honest with them, I'm hard on them. Here's one thing that kind of annoys me as an academy owner is, a lot of times people come to me and they say my kid needs discipline, right? And it pisses me off because discipline doesn't come from the gym. Discipline comes from the home. Right?
Parents do use us as a discipline tool.
Yeah, I'm not here to discipline your child.
Yeah.
So we have like, as an academy owner, what I slowly started to realize is not everybody that walks through your door is going to be a student for the rest of their life.
No,
it's a hard, true fact. Like you said,
especially kids.
Some try to quit after 2 months. Some try to quit after 6 months. Whatever the case. That's the hard, cold, true facts of business ownership and just being in martial arts in general. But what I want people to realize is, if your kid is not, say your kid doesn't pay attention, they sit there, they're distracted, they're trying to talk over people, etc. Yeah, there's a discipline format we have here, right? You're not, if I'm talking, you're not talking. That's just straight up.
I shut that down so fast.
Yeah. But also the thing is I'm not here to teach your kid respect. They should have that from the home, and we hone that respect into a skill-based thing and turn it into that respect and discipline so that they can apply it to other things in their life, right? I think that's a very big fallacy that a lot of parents and people think that martial arts is going to teach my kid discipline. No, the home teaches discipline. The parent teaches discipline. We hone that discipline into a productive art form for that kid as an expression of themselves.
Unfortunately, that's not the reality. So that's the wish, but more so than not, you get those kids that are just out of hand, and with the right structure, and I know you have it as well. They're forced into, for at least that time period, they will be disciplined, right? Yeah. And I completely agree with your saying, but I think that's a discipline at home is a huge issue with this generation, or maybe the previous generation. I don't know, but
no, this one,
yeah,
right.
Well, they're soft this generation. Like,
they're all the younger kids coming into me. Like my wife mentioned the other day that because she spends a lot of time here in the lobby and talking to other parents.
Yeah,
they mentioned that a lot of the other kids admire my daughter, right? And one of the things I make my wife, she's not as happy when I do this, but I make it a fucking mission to discipline my kids in front of other people.
Sure.
Right? So like when my son is one of my most difficult students, right? the kid is he's a happy, non-confrontational child. He's a sweet little dude, right? But he doesn't, like, fighting is not a natural thing to him. My daughter, I can see she's a dog. When she needs to fuck someone up, she'll fuck someone up. My son is like, he'll be doing jiu-jitsu, and if he's not into it that day and there's a kid on top of him, he's like, get off of me. Get off of me. Get off. Like, that's just his personality, right? And it's changing over time.
Yeah.
But he'll do stupid shit like when there's warm-ups, like, Daddy, I gotta go pee. I'm like, no, piss your pants. Because
I don't let kids pee for the first half hour. So if they come in, I go, hold it. You know the rules, right? Pee
yeah,
before the class starts.
yeah, you're
Oh, I
mute.
came late. Well, you came late then.
Yeah.
Hold it till half past. You know the rules.
Oh, Professor Pat's meaner than me. I gotta put
Oh yeah,
that.
buddy. Oh, half hour rule. Half
That
hour rule. Because it gets crazy. Like every kid's lining up to go pee. Sometimes, and I only let them go one at a time because one of the things we have to do, people don't even realize this. Like one of the things we have to do, I'm responsible for every kid that steps on the mat.
yeah.
Right. So if they're all five of them go to the washroom, I'm losing track. So I have to know where that kid is. There's been times where a kid went to the washroom and disappeared. And I'm like, well, where's that kid? Well, and then I found out there was a problem in the washroom because I went to go
Yeah.
find out where he is. So, and then I went to get the parent. Hey, he had a problem. Go help him out. But if there's multiple kids going in and out, so no other coach assist, because I have a few assistant coaches.
Yeah.
They're not allowed to give permission to a kid to go to the washroom. They can only get it from me. And I told them it's because I'm tracking who's going and when are they coming back, right?
Yeah, yeah, and that's what my son tries to abuse.
That's a
that.
pet peeve, by the way.
Yeah, yeah.
I hate it. I hate that.
And I've cracked down on it quite a bit too, right? Especially if there's repeat offenders.
Yeah,
right?
well, it's the same kids all the time, including my son.
Right? Yeah, exactly. And my biggest problem with it is they will say I got to go to the washroom when I'm doing technical instruction.
Yeah. Oh,
and then they'll come back and be like, "What am I doing?
What do I do now?"
Yeah, fuck off.
Yeah.
Right. So my son does that. He uses an excuse to get out of work. When there's warm up, he's like, "I gotta go pee," and so like I had to. What I've done, and he's done a few different things in the gym that etiquette wise for the head instructor's son shouldn't do.
Right.
And I make it a mission that when I come out of class and I'm in the lobby, I discipline him in front of everybody. I'm like, buddy, eyes on me. Because boys, when you're trying to discipline them, they look everywhere except for your fucking face. So I make him eyes on me. I put hands by your side. And I tell him whatever, and the only acceptable answer is yes, sir. Right? And
you're tough.
Yeah, what the fuck? I'm not raising no pussy ass kids, right?
Actually, I got to tell you, the funny thing with my kids again. Okay, I'm loose on the discipline at home, right? My wife's really, really the disciplinary in our house, right? But I guarantee the one time that the kids listen to me without questioning me is in the gym.
Yeah,
because they know in the gym it's like there's no messing around. Once you step on the mat, that's my mat. It's my rules. And they understand that because they know I'm going to call them out if they step. So they have to be the best of the best from a behavior perspective.
Well, also too for parents, lack of discipline on the mats is what leads to the injuries.
Yep.
That's what leads to my child broke his arm. My child did that. Well, that wouldn't have happened if they were disciplined. They were listening.
Yep.
The partners were listening. Everybody was on point. And so one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, I know you did a little thing on your channel about lineage, right?
Okay.
And I wanted to channel that fucking anger into a whole bunch of different things, right?
Sure.
Because I got angry about some of it, not in a bad thing. Nothing you said was bad. But me and you come from the same lineage, right?
Yep.
And it was interesting because this kind of got brought out when I go to these big tournaments and I see a couple different things happen, right? And I did see Omar on Saturday, who was our professor, and I talked to him a little bit about it because for me, what I'm trying to do here is keep jiu-jitsu. And what I mean by that is I put out a video on our page the other day that I made it into a little like a promo thing, but I wanted to make it longer, but that's not the platform for it. But jiu-jitsu is intentionally a self-defense.
Yep.
Jiu-jitsu is not something that you do where You come to the gym every day and it's solely just grappling. Jiu-jitsu involves striking. Jiu-jitsu involves throwing, wrestling,
So
all of the above.
you
And
you got to understand where I'm coming from. So sorry, I apologize. I'm interrupting your beautiful setup here.
Go. Okay.
I'm the opposite. I'm the sports guy.
Yeah.
And why do I say that? Because you're an MMA guy. And yes, I agree with everything you're saying, that our roots from a jiu-jitsu perspective is self-defense. And if you don't know how to strike, and I should tell you the story of why I stopped doing MMA.
Yeah. But I'm not saying
but I'm the sports guy. And I'll tell you why. I'm a wrestler. So tell me wrestling's not the most badass martial art on taking somebody and introducing them to the earth. And I kind of go into jiu-jitsu the same way. It at my age now, it's a sport. Would I use it in a self-defense? Yeah. I know not to do De La Hiva in a self-defense scenario.
Yes,
right?
but that's my problem.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
That's where, see,
Perfect. I set you up.
I agree with you. See, I agree with you. And I'm not against sport jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
But the problem with the community today and how things have progressed, and it's not a problem, mind you, I'm thrilled that there are so many people today interested in jiu-jitsu than there was 10 years ago.
Absolutely.
Right? The growth of the sport and the martial art is just insane. So that's not what I'm knocking at. I'm knocking at the fact that we have practitioners now, and they are great at sports jiu-jitsu.
Yep.
Fantastic at sports jiu-jitsu. You watch them, and I'll get into the bullshit about sports jiu-jitsu in a second, but you watch them compete and you're like, fuck, that's fantastic. You're great for the level that you are, whether it be white, blue, brown, and black, it doesn't fucking matter. You're great. But now I come back to the roots of jiu-jitsu. 99% of the shit that these guys are doing will end up getting them fucking killed if they have to do it in real life. Right? And the problem, and why I run our academy the way it is, as a self-defense first,
absolutely,
and a sport second, which is not common anymore.
Nope.
It's mostly the other way.
Yep.
I run our academy as a self-defense first and a sport second, because my mission as the leader, the black belt, and upholder of the community roots. When I say community, I mean jiu-jitsu as a self-defense first, what it was intended for. If I provide my students the experience of only sport, and they have to use this in a real practical situation in their life at some point, God forbid, and they cannot do it, I have failed as a teacher and an instructor.
Fair enough.
If any of my students come to me and say, somebody attacked me, and the jiu-jitsu you provided me, the instruction that you provided me, the Muay Thai that you provided me, the boxing that we do, the wrestling that we do, did not help me neutralize that opponent, not have to win, neutralize the threat so that I can be safe, I have failed. And that's where I have a big fucking problem with a lot of people today. And it comes from lineage too, because lineages are changing as well, right?
They're morphing.
As you know, because I'll go through our kind of lineage. It's, you have Maheda, Helio, Carlson Gracie Sr., Marcus.
I don't even consider Helio part of our lineage, right? But, although he was one of Senior's.
Yeah, I get it. Right?
His father it's Carlson to Carlson Sr., but Helio was one of his teachers.
Carlson,
sorry, and we're very different than the Helio, right?
Yeah. So Carlson, then we have Master Suarez, Omar, and then us, right?
Yeah.
And the problem with how lineages are working now, and it's not a problem, like, mind you, these are just things that have changed in the atmosphere, is that now those lineages are changing where you get those 4th or 5th generation black belts who are only sport.
Yep.
And so that lineage, but you're not only sport. You understand the physical consequences.
Well, I've done Muay Thai, I've done boxing, I trained MMA.
My point being is there's a lot of sport jiu-jitsu guys who don't do any other martial art.
Yeah.
So they don't understand the physical consequences of an actual conflict. They think everything
or never got punched in the face.
Or never got punched in the face.
Yep.
And I think and that's the problem with black and brown belts today. There's a lot of black and brown belts who've never been hit in the fucking face. So
Yeah.
they don't understand the consequences of some of the things that they're teaching to these people, and it's changing the lineages. And I think one of the big things that people have to look at now as they progress, as jiu-jitsu continues to progress, is, okay, great, I have a great instructor who's Pan Am champion sports jiu-jitsu, but they couldn't tell me actually how to defend myself against a striking opponent. And that's a big issue, and it's going to get bigger because of how many black belts and how many people are participating in jiu-jitsu now.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And it fucking pisses me the hell off.
I'm struggling with this one again because I've turned into more of a. I hear what you're saying. I do honestly agree that we've lost a bit from that. Lost a lot because so many gyms have moved to that sports side. And again, I'm one of those. My old gym that I owned was actually pure sport because it was jiu-jitsu, wrestling, and judo.
Yeah.
Right. The trifecta of grappling. We were a grappling club.
Yeah.
Again, that's when you know what we're trying to do with the club I'm at right now, Wabi Sabi, is we have a boxing coach, and we're trying to bring in others to kind of expand that to get back to where jiu-jitsu should be in a true martial art, if you will. But we're not going to get away from the sports side of things.
And I don't think you should. Nobody should.
You know what the issue is? You know what the issue is, Ashton? To me, it's not the lineage, because everything you say, I think we both agree 100%. And unfortunately, that's where our sport is maturing. What concerns me even more, building off of what you've said, whether it's sport or self-defense side, is the kung fu and karate-ization of jiu-jitsu, where, and I'm doing a video on this. One of my next videos is belt system.
Yep.
Our belt's important. So you get nogi guys that are like, oh, belts don't matter. Belts don't matter. And then you get other. I hate that. To me, every strike, because we had to earn. We had to earn, like, with blood, sweat, and tears. I remember Omar used to, in the early days, we had to fight for our blue belt. I was in 2 tournaments to fight for the blue belt. I made the final twice, and I didn't get my blue belt twice because I didn't win. And the way the belts are being handed out like candy.
Yep.
And I don't like it. You're seeing some kids at the tournament, or you walk into a gym or you visit a gym. Actually, the best one, here's a quick story. I love it when higher belt kids come from other gyms.
I was about to say that.
Yeah, right. And they get that shock, and I don't put them with the best one, but I'll put them with somebody that I'm like, okay, let's see where this kid's at.
That's where I put my daughter against them.
Those are the ones, eh?
But I mean, we're gonna go on to a big rabbit hole. This is a big one.
Oh yeah.
Right?
I'm doing a whole video on just belts, and like, that's probably gonna take an hour.
As an academy owner, and I don't want to say other, but people will know just from conjecture of where I'm located. There's about 3 schools within a kilometer and a half radius, right? And the reason my academy has done well is because we're a full martial arts academy.
Absolutely.
In my area, in the Lee Side area, we are the only mixed martial arts academy, meaning we offer authentic Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, authentic Muay Thai from an authentic mixed martial artist.
That's a great combo,
right? Everyone else in the Lee Side area is just a Jiu-Jitsu guy.
Absolutely.
And anybody who's offering Muay Thai, there's one Hapkido gym. It's not real authentic Muay Thai. They didn't learn from Cruz Saj, and they don't have any fucking combat experience, right? The one thing I can put on my promotional material and put is we are the only fucking mixed martial arts gym here. And those are a dying breed.
It is.
Right?
Absolutely.
Those are a dying breed. Everybody wants these specialization gyms. So one of the things, going back into the, the striking in the jiu-jitsu, is one of the things I tell all of my students is when you start training here, you need to train all the martial arts. Right? Because what I've noticed.
That's your school's philosophy.
Right?
So
well, what I've noticed is a lot of people come from Muay Thai and stay for jiu-jitsu, right?
Yep.
But the thing about Muay Thai and striking is you don't get to slow down. it's a fucking dogfight. When you're smashing pads, you're smashing pads.
Yep.
So what I tell, like, I had a guy, one of my good students, he's a blue belt now. He competed at the Ace Pro Jiu Jitsu Cup, and he competed against a really good sports Jiu Jitsu kid, and he lost the match. But I told him, I'm like, don't worry about it. You know
If a
who
fight broke out,
I was about. That's what I was gonna say. I said if it was a real fight, we both know who would win.
Yeah.
Right. I was like, that was a sport jiu-jitsu thing. You did great. He's a high level competitor. He competes internationally. Don't sweat it, because you know who's the better athlete. You know who would win in a fight.
Let me add to that. Even though the gyms that I've run and I'm now teaching at, where we're trying to expand it to get some of the striking in, but I do make it a point for the kids and the adults where, especially the ones that only pull guard, I emphasize to them, and then I pick on them. I'm saying, listen, if you don't know how to take somebody down that's bigger than you have no concept of what jiu-jitsu is.
Yeah.
So if you don't do takedowns, I'm sorry. And I actually consider that when I'm doing grading as
Yeah.
well. If all they know how to do is pull guard, yeah, they could be the greatest guard player and win every tournament, pull guard and sweep everybody and all that. But if they can't do a basic takedown, I'm sorry, you're not at the level
No.
you think you're at.
And one of the things I'm
Again,
noticing.
I'm an old wrestler, so
Yeah. And one of the things
that's
I'm
my
noticing
mentality.
from the academies around me is, one, our teens are absolute beasts compared to them, right? Because I don't have a teen program. It's teen
Yeah.
adult. Like I said earlier on in this podcast, you're a fucking teenager. You're an adult.
Yep.
You're supposed to be the future of our country, a future of our generations. You're a fucking adult. I'm going to treat you that way. So I like, when I say that too, I still protect them so they're not getting beat up by grown ass
Sure.
men, but they're training with everyone else like possible. And like, one of my good teen fighters, Michael, he went to another academy that was down the street, the fake one, and he he ended up coming and training with us, and he's a big part of our team now. He's an assistant coach here, and he's a great fighter, lots of potential. But one of the reasons he came here is because he said all they had was a teen program. It was just teens,
Yeah.
right? Whereas we are all training together, right?
Yep.
I don't, and so when all these kids are coming from these academies, so I'm not.
Yeah, we do the same thing, by the way. So, but we don't just let any teen.
No, they have to be a certain size.
They have to be a certain size and a skill level.
Yeah.
So they have to be competing. They have to be a certain skill level, and of course a certain size. So
Yeah.
what's happened at our gym, I would say a quarter of the class is between 14 and 16 years old.
Yeah.
And they're all high level competitors. They're all yellow belts. And like we got a pretty sick gym from a competition perspective. Our teens in that age category, they're going to Pan Ams. They're winning worlds at Naga multiple times. So we do the exact same thing. And they're training with the adults. And I'm telling you, some of the older guys are like, oh shit, I gotta roll with that 14-year-old there. But that 14-year-old's been training for 9 years. So.
And so one of the things I'm realizing is we'll have, and because we're the only mixed martial arts gym, what ends up happening is people realize there's more value for their money over here.
100%.
And so we'll start getting people coming in from trial classes from some of these other gyms. And it's more primarily with the kids program than anything. These kids will come in with a fucking gray black belt and a gray solid belt. And for those who are not educated on the system, that should mean you've been training for over 2 years, in my opinion, at that level. That should mean
way over 2 years. My son still has a gray black. I won't give him a yellow, and he's been training 6 years.
Yeah, my daughter's been training 4 years, and I just gave her a gray white 2 months ago.
There's no,
right?
So it's not a yellow belt.
So I have these kids coming from, and it's one gym in specifically. I'm not going to call him out because, right? If I call him out, it's more me being a petty guy than whatever. but it's one gym in specific and a couple of the other gyms too.
Yep.
They're not, and they'll know who I'm talking about if they listen to this. Fuck you guys, I don't give a shit. We're all in the same community, but we're competitors. You're three,
Yep.
right?
Well, in the area you're competing.
Yeah, we're competing in the area, and my job is to make sure I produce the best fucking talent in the area. And anyway, they'll come in. I see these kids coming with gray belts, gray black belts, and they're absolute trash. And I say that respectfully, and I'm not saying that to
I've had yellow belts come to my gym, and are you kidding me?
I had one come from a Gracie Barra gym last week to do trial class, and it was absolutely horrendous.
Yeah,
because
it's embarrassing. So truth be told, I shouldn't even admit this. We've had 2 instances where we downgraded.
Yeah.
And we basically said, I'm sorry, you're not a yellow belt in this gym. It was that far off.
Yes.
And they put in the work, and they ended up getting their yellow belt year or 2 later. Yeah. Right. But we definitely did that. Now, we don't make it a habit. There's a few that slip by that don't compete as much, but yeah, we see it way too often.
Yeah, I like for the grays, I'm not too much of a stickler on it. But what I tell the parents is I'm going to be skipping them on promotions until they are able to represent that level. Now, for example, the one that came in last week was from a Gracie Barra school. It was yellow. The mom was kind of talking to my wife, asking how promotions work because every 10 classes there was a stripe, and I said fucking no. This kid was a yellow belt. My daughter was destroying him. Right?
Yeah.
And I said, in that case, if they do bring him here to train, I would have to reevaluate his skill set.
Yeah.
Because if he decided to go into a competition, I can't let him go as a yellow belt.
Yep.
Right? He would get hurt.
Yeah.
Right? So the academies around me are fucking pumping out these kids with...
Because I bet you they charge for stripes and belts.
Well, yes. Well, a lot of people do, including someone we know very well. I won't go into that.
But our gym doesn't.
Me either.
And no, you don't pay for the stripe. You don't. All we ask is you buy some merch, so you can represent the team. But as far as belts are concerned, in fact, for the adults, we have we call it the black belt committee, because again, we're spoiled. We're a bit of a larger gym and mature because they built off of and we come from a big organization as well. We're part of the Circa Costa organization. Yeah. So we have a lot of black belts on the team, and we call it the association, right? So we actually meet and talk about who we're grading and how we're grading them and whether they deserve to be and the simple philosophy is, if that person puts on that belt, they're representing your gym. What level will they be when they go and visit another gym? Are they that level? Can they go anywhere in the world and be a blue belt? Doesn't have to be the best blue belt, but you could tell a blue belt, right? Yeah, you could tell a purple belt, right? And there's people we've held back. I've held back so many on the kids side and the adult side. There was one guy that was like a 2.5 year 4-stripe purple, and every time it came around, we're like, no, you're not ready for the brown. You're just not. You're not there. You're not putting in the extra. You're still doing the same stuff. Yeah, you're showing up, right? But you're not improving. You're not doing what it needs to take to get to the next level. And really, really hard on that.
And it came to show too, because when I go to a competition like the Ontario Open this past weekend, sometimes you'll draw the names of the other academies that are around you. And I don't tell my kids or I don't tell my students, but I'm like, we have to fucking win that one.
I just tell them. I tell them, no, you're gonna win.
I don't
you better win this one.
I don't say it because I try not to make it personal and not to make it about me.
Oh man, I'm hyper competitive. You are too. Like I'm like, you know who I'm the worst on?
Who?
Against Omar. And Omar's our instructor. He gave us our black belt. Whenever one of my kids competes against Omar, especially if Omar's coaching on the other chair, I'm like,
No,
we're gonna do it.
I don't so much care about them because I know they're well coached. It's the
They
one.
are well coached,
It's
and they have that.
it's the ones that are around me.
I
And
know, I know, I know.
this past weekend, I had one of my kids, a gray white belt, and he's fantastic. He's actually I'm thrilled. He did so well. I made a highlight tape on our fucking Instagram
Nice.
about it. Right. He fought one of the kids from the academy that's not far from here, and that kid had a solid gray belt, and he beat the living fuck out of him. It was not even close. And
yeah, it's
for
good
me,
to see that.
for me, it was just it was just you put the kid in danger. You put the kid in danger. It was not even it was like I was coaching
especially if they're competing, right?
Dude, I was coaching another one of our girl. We had two kids going on the mat side by side, right? So we're waiting for his match to start. I'm coaching this girl. My assistant coach is right there, and I'm like, okay, finish off with her. I'm gonna go with him. He beat the kid so fast. We went back to watch our other student friggin' compete at the mat next to it, right? That I don't care what belt level you are, that shouldn't happen, right? Especially at the kids level, it should be more competitive. And
gray belt's tough though. Gray belt, and again, for those who are not familiar with the system, there's kind of 3 different gray belts. There's the gray white, then 4 stripes, then the full gray 4 stripes, and the gray black. When you run with the fresh gray white, and then you run into a gray black with stripes, like that's I feel bad unless they're properly prepared. And again, the reason why you and I are strict on converting whites to grays is because they're going to have to face that adversity. But nothing, like you said, nothing feels as good as when your gray white goes in and smokes a higher belt.
And
I love it.
I see so many of it too with the blue belts.
Yeah.
And I think Gary Tonin did an interview not too long ago about the transactional nature of jiu-jitsu and how it's become. And that is no different than the Canadian scene. Ontario's really bad for it. And like I said, I'm not knocking jiu-jitsu as a whole. I'm so proud of where we are.
It's a small business, right? So I get it and I don't, because again, I used to charge for belts, and the reality of it was a cash cow, because parents would pay us cash, right? And you're like, oh, thank goodness. And as a small business where you're sometimes just making the rent and stuff like that, that's really, to me, that's also an indication you're not running a good business. But
exactly.
But when you're just starting out, that's what we had to do until we were able to kind of break the surface and start making, and then we got rid of that whole policy. It's like, okay, this doesn't make sense.
So I don't charge for stripes. I don't charge for belt testing. I just
charging for a piece of tape is crazy.
Yeah, some people do that.
I know most of them do.
We know some people.
Yeah.
The belt, I just asked that if I give you a new belt, you just give me $10 for it. Right. That was the cost of the belt. It's not an expensive belt. I did one surprise promotion and I didn't have a blue, so I was like, "Bye, girl, just give me $20. I have to get it off of Amazon."
Yeah.
Right. But if I'm as a smaller academy, if I'm handing out free belts all the time, like I'm gonna that's like $200-300 just gone for no reason, right? So I just say, hey, I'm not testing. I'm not. If you get a belt, you deserve it, but just give me $10. That's how much it costed to get me, and that's all I asked, right?
Yeah.
No, nobody has a problem with that, right? It's the testing fee for the belt.
Oh, gee. Right? Oh, do people do that?
Oh man, I'm not gonna say the name. There's a big association. It ends with 4.
The number. Okay.
There's something 4.
Really?
His affiliations, it's a $40 grading, a seminar plus grading.
Does it go to the head office? Like, does it go to the main academy?
It goes to the big guy.
Oh my god!
Right?
Oh my god! What a cash cow that is!
Yeah, and it's fucking bullshit.
It's a big association too,
right? Yeah, it's fucking bullshit. Wow. If you're holding a seminar, hold a seminar.
Hold a seminar. That's value for your money, right?
If it's a grading, grading seminar, you're fucking stealing money.
That's not a
and
seminar.
And you want to know something?
Yeah.
I'm comfortable with my business now that we're running a smooth, good operation. I'm at a point now where I'm ready to call all of these guys out. And they're, even though they're
It's not worth
OGs,
it.
even though they're, but you know what? Fuck it.
We could call them out on podcasts, right?
Yeah,
But to me,
I'm not going to say it by name because
no,
that's petty.
no.
But
That the act itself.
Yeah, the act is petty. But like I said, I'm coming from the original roots of what this is supposed to be about.
Sure.
And you're supposed to be a representative of it because you're an OG. You've got fucking multiple stripes on your black and you're fucking watering it down. You know what? Fuck you. At that point, it's
because they're not looking at it from an art perspective. They're looking at it as an income perspective,
yes,
right?
And I get, and that's why I said I'm comfortable with the business side because I'm a good businessman. I know how to run my business. I have not, like I'm going to go into more podcasts about how I've got this place going, but I have not run a deficit since I opened this place. I've been in profit the whole time because we run the honest operation. I don't fucking sugarcoat anything. This is what we do. This is what we provide. This is the value for your money. And it's either you're on board if you're not. If you're not on board with it, there's plenty of other options for you. Right?
Are you planning on growing the gym, or are you planning on staying in that location?
We're going to stay here for a while. I don't see the need. Obviously.
Are you close to maximizing the potential of it, or is it just a matter of adding more classes?
It's just a matter of adding more classes. Once my numbers keep growing.
And that's the tough part.
Right? Once my numbers keep growing, I'll add more classes. But I'm happy with what we have because I can, like, one of my students, and you kind of talked about it a little bit in your lineage podcast thing you did. One of my students went to a couple other. She goes to Windsor because her family's in Windsor, and then she went to our professor's gym once and did a drop in there, right? And I'll get into why I'm not a big fan of dropping in at a certain level in a second, but I asked.
You might have differing opinions.
I know. I asked her, how much time did you actually spend getting instruction from a black belt? And she couldn't answer the question. Right? Because the bigger, like, everyone gets enthralled with how big a gym is.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many students.
Who's teaching?
There's so many, but the teacher might be a world-class instructor, but you may not speak to him the entire fucking class because there's so many other people, right? Whereas,
or they could be a bad teacher.
Whereas what I'm doing here is because we have a lot of numbers. The numbers are big now,
right?
But because I'm in a more enclosed space, I can't ignore people.
Right.
Like yesterday, I'm teaching my Muay Thai class, and because we're closer and it's not this giant 10,000 foot facility where it's all spaced out, I'll be like, hey, wait a minute. I never walked around to see what that group's doing yet. And so I'll go around, and so I make it a mission to, even if I have fighters on one side, like I have 2 guys competing this weekend, I should be spending most of my time with them, but I make it a mission to say I'm going to go to each and every group and make sure
that is a mantra of mine. I actually, maybe my assistant coaches are going to be listening and hear on there. One of the things that bugs me, once in a blue moon, I'm guilty of it, is standing around and talking while people are drilling. I make it a thing where I'm constantly walking back and forth and looking at every group. And as black belts, we've seen enough drilling to know if they're doing it right out of the gate, right? It's like, it catches your attention right away. It's like, okay, what's going on here, right? And giving them that time. It's such an important skill set. Where I've been to gyms, because very, very quick story. After purple belt, I moved out of the city, so that's why I wasn't training at Team Ascension as much anymore. I made the effort of trying to keep the ties. I still keep the ties. I still go and visit, and Omar still grades me, but I got into the habit of going to visit a lot of gyms and trying to find sort of a temporary second home. But I ended up seeing a lot of gyms and the way they operate. And that's when I started judo as well. So I was doing judo for a few years. and you see that, you see the difference in levels of instruction where you get, I apologize about that,
No worries.
where you get an instructor that shows a move but then completely ignores everyone and sits and go, pet peeve, sits and goes on their phone. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, you just showed a move and you have the audacity to go on your phone and ignore us while we're doing it. I don't know if I'm doing it right.
Yeah.
You know,
that's
like,
one thing I picked
you're
up from.
paying.
Yeah, that's one thing I picked up from my business before I opened the gym was all private training clients, right?
Yeah.
You know how many times I would see they'd be working, like someone's paying for your time.
Yeah.
Right. And mind you, I'm not in that transactional nature of jiu-jitsu.
No, but you know what I'm saying. Like,
I know what you're saying. Like for example, and you would see the personal trainer texting.
Yeah.
Right. The only time I can safely say this, the only time I've ever texted while working with a client individually one-on-one is when my wife was pregnant. And
I was just going to say the same thing.
And I told my client, I'm like,
you warned them.
I warned them. I'm like, Becky's due in the next like 3-4 weeks.
Yeah.
And anytime I see a message from her, I have to attend to it.
Yeah.
And they're like, no problem.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The only other time I'm on my phone is I'm recording like videos for the gym or whatever. But like, my job is to pay attention to you.
Yep.
That's my job as a coach, and I've seen it at the highest levels. I've seen 3rd, 4th degree black belts. You're supposed to be leaders in it.
No, I've seen it.
Fucking pisses me off.
I've seen it firsthand many times.
Yeah. And so like I don't do it often. Notice a lot of times it looks like I'm scrolling. I'm really just changing the Spotify playlist because I don't like the song that's going on. Right. But I'm
okay. Guilty. I do that too.
Right, but I'm not social on my phone. I'm engaging with my students on that. So that's why I like where we're at right now, because I want to build the level to a point where we have like in such a small
what I see with you guys is that team oriented focus. So I could see your guys together. I could see the way you guys are communicating, right? And that's important. We struggle with that as a larger team, trying to build that base or community of parents, you know, kind of supporting each other. One of the pet peeves we have is like, okay, you come in, you compete, and then you leave. Well, where's the support for the other team, right?
Like I don't do it.
Sorry, I shifted on you there.
It's okay. I don't do it for kids, but for my adult and teen program, we have a WhatsApp group where we have 2. Yeah. One is announcements, so nobody can write anything. It's only me just putting out gym announcements. Yep. The other is a fucking free for all, and the amount of
wabi sabi is
amount of dumb shit that goes into that.
Dumb shit is so funny.
Yeah, but that's what helps build a little bit of the community, right?
It's about the community, right? Honestly, the older you get, again, you're looking at it a lot from a gym owner and all that kind of stuff. I'm no longer a gym owner. I'm a practitioner. I'm an old guy that just loves jiu-jitsu, and I love teaching it, and I love rolling, man. I just love rolling. I just want to forget freaking drills. I just want to spar, man. I drill when I spar. Okay, that's what white and blue belts are for, so I can drill.
I like,
but drill. It's about the. I'm joking, right?
I know.
It's about the community. For the older you get, the more it's about mental health. Like I'm recently still recovering from an illness. I had an operation, still trying to recover. Not being able to roll on a regular basis or not being able to participate in the gym really affects you mentally, right? It really is a getaway. We have such a community at our gym. Here's one that I know for a fact not many gyms do. We have a good, close, older group at our gym. And when I say older, it's like 40 and over. Younger guys can participate in that, but we have a solid group from white belt to multi-stripe black belt. And every Friday, after we murder each other, an hour and a half, and then we all murder each other, we call it beer night. And we get in the corner, right? The boxing class is off on the other side, and we sit there and we just shoot the shit for the rest of the night until the gym closes, drinking a couple of beers, right? And that's that community aspect. That's the mental health aspect. And that's something you don't see and I never saw that when I did karate. I never saw that when I did
You
taekwondo.
don't see it in many. You don't see it in many jiu-jitsu gyms.
I haven't seen it in a jiu-jitsu gym before.
No.
You always have that corner people go to after class, which is cool. But I like the Friday night beer night that we started, right? And all the old guys are guaranteed. I know old guys we go there just for that night. Again, it's extra. And there's like, because it's the last day in the week of hard training. Saturday's kind of starting all over kind of thing, but it's the last busiest day. So everyone comes, and there's something in the air when sparring starts on Friday.
Yeah.
It's like we cut the technique a little early just so we can murder each other and finish the week off strong.
Beer.
Right?
Yeah,
and then have a beer.
Now let's get back to that lineage thing, right? Because we were...
Sorry, man. I can go in so many directions.
That's what podcasts are for, talking shit on the internet. That's how you know I've made it in the world. I'm talking shit on the internet at fucking 12 o'clock during the day, right?
Hey, man, lucky we could have did 2 hours of politics, but I got to watch what I say, so we'll stick to jiu-jitsu today.
That's why I thought I can do it. I don't give a fuck. You know me.
Yeah, I know.
Right? But
I got to be careful. I work for a bank, so...
Yeah, exactly. So I didn't want to take us down that rabbit hole.
I appreciate it.
Right?
Okay, lineage.
So you mentioned something about cross-training, right?
Yeah.
And I have two philosophies on it, right? And...
oh boy, here we go.
Fuck off. Okay. Okay. Fucking guy. I have two philosophies on it, right? Because you know my journey. I have done a fuckload of cross training. A fuckload. Yep. So I'm not against it. But then where we came from, our instructor, and this is not a criticism on him, and then other instructors, they're heavily against cross training. And now that I'm a gym owner, I can see both perspectives more than
going to another gym.
To cross train.
Right.
Now that I'm a gym owner, I didn't understand. Don't do it, right? Because I wasn't a gym owner, and now I'm a gym owner, and I understand why others don't want to. Right.
I get it.
And from a business side, it can be a problem, right? Because of the transactional nature of jiu-jitsu, right? People are trying to retain what they call
We've lost students that fell in love with the other art and just ended up going.
So we, I don't call anybody clients, and I think that's a big miscommunication. They're all my students, right? We're all students. I'm a student.
Actually, I look at it as a club. I go, we're all club members, right? And we're a member of an exclusive club.
And the way I tell everybody is, I think there's a big, and this is a big problem in jiu-jitsu, because you have the color of your belt is black, you automatically think you are some hot shit.
No, Jesus Christ.
Right? Well, I know me and you don't, but guess what? It's the fucking truth. Yeah. These guys, especially a lot of sport jiu-jitsu guys, because they don't really understand violence. Yep. I understand violence. And I understand hardship. You know my journey in terms of the amount of surgeries and stuff. I put my body through fucking hell.
I've watched you, man.
I put my body through hell. And guess what? There's nobody above me. Right? Just because I have a skill set in a certain area of life doesn't mean that I'm any better than you as a person.
Yep.
And I think there's a big problem, especially because of sports jiu-jitsu, and everyone loves sports jiu-jitsu, so they get really enthralled by the guys who do really well, and it gives these guys a little bit of a push in the ego, right? That, because I'm so good at jiu-jitsu, it's
perspective as well. So you got guys with ego, and then it's always funny to see people's faces where another instructor shows a technique or a specific on a choke, and I'm walking around trying to help people, and someone, a white belt or blue belt, will ask me, well, how do you do this choke? And I'm like, I don't know how to do that choke. And they're like, you're a black belt though. How do you not know? I go, dude, I'm a black belt of my game. Okay. I'm Jeet Kune Do. I take a little bit from everything and I morph it into something that works for my body, where I'm at in my life. I know a lot more than you do. I've forgotten more than you know, but I don't know everything, man. Right. Like I can't even scratch the surface of this beautiful art. Right. And multiply it by 3 times for you. Cause you got striking, you got fist, you got boxing, you got leg distance, you got grabs, you got takedowns, then you got guards, and
Right. And so that frustrates me a huge amount, and I think that's why a lot of people hate the cross training, because they view it as a transactional thing. Now,
Yeah,
well,
I get it.
for me, I get it too. Like, you're trying to make a living for your
Yeah.
family and whatever. I understand it. And then on the other flip side too, is I for me here, um, I am so confident in the skill set that I'm bringing people, and
Yep.
look at what I've done in 2 years.
Yeah.
I just
Well, you
finished
offer it all, buddy. Like that's the thing. You're
April.
giving them all the flavors.
April was our 2 year mark,
Congratulations.
and I've thank you, and I've raised guys that are competitive on the highly competitive on the competitive scene in Ontario, right? And it's
Yep.
only going to go further. I can't
Keep
wait.
growing.
I can't wait till I put out pros, right? Which will happen. It'll just, that takes time. I'm not going to pump guys out when they're not ready, but
Yep.
I can't wait till that happens. Look what I've done in 2 years. So my whole thing is, I am supremely confident in my technique and my philosophy and all the systems that I put in here. So I think that's a big flaw in some guys who prevent cross training, because they are not confident in what they're providing, right?
Right.
If you are providing legitimately some of the best instruction, people will know.
Yep.
And if you are that unconfident that you're not comfortable with your students doing a little bit of cross training, then that's a problem. Right now, I did a whole lot of cross training because at the time where I was coming up, mixed martial arts was very, very limited. So
Yeah. You were always the MMA guy, right?
yeah,
Right from day one
day one.
that I met you.
I
In
knew,
wrestling class, by the way.
yeah, I knew my pathway to my black belt would be through mixed martial arts,
Yep.
and the the hard truth is, you had to travel a lot to different places to do a lot of training. Now, the one thing I stay hellbound on is I'm loyal as shit,
Yep.
right? And I think that's where a lot of people hate the cross training, is because um I told Omar's our professor. I told him a long time ago. I remember. I don't know if he'll remember this, but I was sitting on the edge of the ring of the old gym, and I said, when I get
I
my,
helped build that
yeah,
ring.
and I said to him, I'm like, when I get my black belt, it's gonna be from you, right? And I meant it. And
Yep.
even though there was hardships in our relationship
Sure.
throughout the entire journey, and there still is
Yep.
a little bit,
Yep.
I meant it because of loyalty. And I
Yep.
think that's
I'm the same way, brother.
a dying thing in jiu-jitsu, because
Yep.
everyone is trying to go get the latest technique, the latest guy. This guy's doing this cool thing, this guy's got this cool thing, this guy's got this cool thing, this guy's got this cool thing. So, like, I'm gonna go there, I'm gonna go there, I'm gonna go there. And here's my problem with cross training, right? And it's not really a problem, it's just a issue that I find. All right, if you find an instructor in a gym that you truly love, and you're like, I fucking love this place. And that's what I found with Omar and Ascension, and that growing up. And I've been trained everywhere. I've trained a
Yep.
lot of fucking places. That's why I know I go to a tournament and everyone's like, hey, Ashton, hey, Ashton, because I've trained with so many different people under so many different types of jiu-jitsu, so many different types of martial
Yep.
arts. Um, I've been to the US and done camps out there. I've done all that kind of shit. I've trained with everybody. But I came back to Omar and Carlson Gracie, because what ends up happening is, if you're chasing the latest technique, then you don't truly have a foundational jiu-jitsu. And what I find is, I think there should be a level in which I say, I'm okay with you going to do that now, right? And to me, that's high level blue pushing that purple belt area,
I was purple. I was deep into my purples
right?
when I moved, and I remember the meeting with Omar, and I said, "Listen, I love you. I'm still going to visit you. You're still going to grade me, but I have to train elsewhere."
Yeah, right.
And I found a few highly competitive gyms that allowed me to do that. That's when I got hooked up with Fernando and that whole Circa Costa action reaction.
Yeah,
I ended up training with them. When all the Brazilians came and there was some real high level training. But I always went back to Omar. And it's interesting. And I'm sorry, I'm taking on a different angle
it's
here,
okay.
but cross training or visiting other gyms. But what I found very interesting, it's yes, we may gravitate on certain techniques, and certain techniques evolve. We have Omar's fundamentals. We have a Carlson Gracie fundamentals. So when there's been a few students that of mine, and a few of them are still current, that have trained either at Omar's or trained in other, I won't be specific who, other teachers who came out of Team Ascension, and they go, you guys do that exact move. You guys do that exact hold. You guys do that exact butterfly counter, or, and I'm just like, yeah, because that's what we were ingrained with from day one. So it's our belief, it's our style, right?
Well, what I'm trying to get to too is when you at that's such an infancy level. I can't blue belt as an infancy level too, because blue belts
100%,
right.
They don't even know their game yet.
Exactly, and so you're out there chasing the latest technique. You haven't given that style of jiu-jitsu a chance to be ingrained and the fundamentals to sit into your game, and you're out chasing others, right? And that's my biggest problem with cross training. Like, I get people will leave. I get that as an instructor and as a gym owner, I might invest, and I've seen this from other gym owners, Chris Bonfoca and all of our, where people fuck you. It's just, this is the nature of humans. People will fuck you. Right?
I've got a few stories of that.
Right. So I'm on the infancy side now, where I'm aware people will fuck me, but it hasn't happened totally yet. Right.
So 3 things will happen, right? You're going to get the challenge matches.
Yeah.
You're going to get the guys or gals that break your heart, that leave and talk bad about you or do something like what you're saying right now.
Yeah.
And the third one that's happened to me a few times is you're going to get inner gym drama.
Oh, that's not going to happen here. With me,
it's hard.
Me and my wife I put a lock on it. So, like, for example, the other day, my wife heard something.
We know all about that.
My wife heard something while she was sitting here. I made it a mission on the very next day to address the entire fucking gym, right? And I did it 3 days in a row.
I've confronted a parent as well, and I said, you can't be talking like that.
I don't do that. I don't do that. That's one thing. It's on my fucking code of conduct on the wall. I will kick you the fuck out of my gym.
Because we've both experienced it and seen it firsthand, the damage that comes out of that, right?
So I tell my guys, guys 2 things. Don't fuck me. If there's a life change that happens, right? Just don't fuck me, right? I'm spending my entire evenings away from my family to help you develop into what you want. Don't fuck me. If there's a life change, go for it. Just be a man about it and tell me personally, and I don't give a shit.
Let me add on to that, okay? Because you're hitting some soft areas for me, right? I've been called creonche, whatever the hell you say it, when I was in my visiting gyms, and I'm like, okay, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just visiting. But what breaks my heart, and I call them cowards, are people that you've invested your time in. Yes, we're all adults. You could go anywhere you want. You could do whatever the hell you want. You want to go to that gym down the street? You don't like the way I teach and go down this? You're more than welcome to. I can't hold you back. I don't believe in that, right? I started teaching you, you're mine forever. No, but my expectation is you tell me to my face. Right? You tell me, or if you want to call, you could call me at least and tell me, hey, I'm going to this gym. It's those people that disappear, and then all of a sudden you see them in a picture in the other gym, and you're like, you motherfucker,
you rat bastard.
You are a bitch, right? You know, like, I don't care. I'm happy for you, right? And it's taken me time to reestablish the connection, because some of them go on and they're successful, and I slowly warm up to it. But I tell you, if I ever see the fucker in the face, I'm going to go up to him in the tournament and say, hey, you're looking good and all that. By the way, you're an asshole.
Yeah.
Right? Well, you could have told me,
There's one guy, his name starts with an A, ends with an R. I still think he's a fuckface, and I'll tell him to his fucking face. He's a piece of shit, right? Well, that's just my personality.
A lot of people think that.
I didn't say his name. He's a piece of shit. And if you ever fucking listen to it, I challenge you to a fucking fight, you cunt, right?
It's
that's
funny. I know right away who. I was wondering if it was going to come up or not.
yeah.
Right?
Well, it's not. I have nothing.
And it's not just you. It's just because of the lineage that we're in and some of the
Well,
bad blood.
I have nothing against him personally. It's just
No.
how he handles
Yeah.
how everything.
Business. I would. Yeah.
But going back to the cross training thing
Yeah.
is, like for example, that's the best thing I love about podcasts. You can get what you
Yeah.
fucking want.
Yeah.
The thing I tell my guys is I'm not necessarily against it. I'm against it at your level
Yeah.
because you haven't ingrained this style into you yet.
Yeah.
And then you're going to go and try to pick up some other style. And then it's going to turn into a fusion of dog shit.
Yeah.
And
Dog
then
shit.
you're
The
going
fundamentals become dog shit.
exactly. And then you're going to suck.
Yep.
When you get to a certain level, I will arrange the cross fucking training.
Yeah.
I will arrange it. I will bring them here or we will go there when we are ready for it.
Yep.
I will make it happen because I believe in it strongly. I think working with other people, for me,
Sure.
I'm here training at my own gym all the time by myself. Man, sometimes I just get in the car and I go to Cruz Sage's gym and I fucking hit pads with him. And it
Or you organize training sessions for us to come visit you. And,
like I'm not. Here's the biggest problem is what I see with cross training is the head instructor should be the ones that should be open to organizing it, as opposed to the students having to go find it. Right?
Yeah.
When I deem it necessary, I will have people in. When I think that we need a break where we have other people come in and we come in. Right? I don't necessarily think that we need to go somewhere else. I just think we need to see new bodies and new types and new styles, and it humbles people. And going back to the humbling students, I had one guy, he's a great student of mine. He's also an assistant coach here. I don't give a fuck if he listens to this. I don't give a shit. He said something a couple weeks ago about not feeling challenged. And so it was a Sunday, and I was, Matt, my purple belt.
Yep.
Matt's a fucking animal. Good friend.
He's an animal.
Matt's an animal. So me and Matt were arranging a Sunday.
Don't get him mad.
Yeah, don't get him mad. We were having a Sunday where we were going to come and train together, right? And just do some stuff because my knee was feeling better. I wanted him to test it out. And just because he's so big, that's what I needed to feel on my knee. And I was like, these guys had these super matches coming up. And I'm like, oh, yeah, you don't feel challenged? Come fucking train on the Sunday. Right? And it wasn't a Sunday where I was being nice. It was a Sunday where I came in and I'm warming up like I'm getting ready to train. Yep. Not like professor just sitting over there stretching a little bit and then slowly rolling.
No, you're training.
Dude, I fucked this kid up.
Yeah.
And
challenge now?
I beat the shit out of him and he's lying on the floor and I'm like, oh yeah? That was fucking 50%. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah. Because if I go anything more, your mom and dad are picking you up from the fucking hospital. Right? And I'm just talking jiu-jitsu here. Right?
Yep.
And I'm not saying I'm like this champion who's gonna, but I will, if I wanted, my pressure. If I wanted to crush your fucking chin, I'd crush your fucking chin. Right? And
some of the younger crowd need that now and then though. I have a few examples of those, but
there's a lot of them I saw this past weekend at the fucking tournament, right? They're like,
hope none of my guys.
No, maybe from the same association, but
yeah, maybe. I can't. I can only talk to them because I've had some run-ins, even with our most experienced kids, and they don't want to tap for a reason. I'm going, and I'm looking at them. I'm saying, "You're not tapping." I go, what do you want me to do? Break your arm? Like, what do you ask? And then who's going to get in trouble? Yeah. So I get mad and I'm like, okay, well, now you're going to get my knee on your neck. So I can't, you don't want to tap, but now I'm going to make you feel it.
That's the problem I see too. Cause like, I'm honest. I've been to, that association's big gym to do some of the comp training, last year, right? Before I had this knee surgery. And, I'm going in with an open mind of just like having fun. Like I understand competitive training, but these,
especially if you're talking about the same club I'm thinking about.
Yeah, you know what club I'm talking about, okay. Right? It's a big club, biggest one. And mind you, I'm not talking shit about anybody or anything.
No.
But these guys, blue, purple, browns. They see a black belt and they're like, I gotta prove something.
Salivating.
And I'm like, why are you gripping me so fucking hard?
Yeah.
And I'm like, what it makes me want to do, and I won't do it because I have good self control. But what it makes me want to do is fucking hit you
Yeah.
because you're trying to beat me, and I'm trying to learn. Right? Competition training, I understand. But for me, and this is the problem I have with jiu-jitsu guys, because they think that every role, every
Yeah.
competition session has to be to the extreme.
They're also like 19, 20, 24 years old too,
Well,
right? So
it doesn't even fucking matter.
they're
If you're a
just
real fighter,
I'm not condoning it. I'm just
yeah,
saying like we have that same issue with a few kids,
yeah.
but
And if you're a real fighter, like a real martial artist, you know that you cannot go hard every session because you will get hurt.
and the older you get, I
And
have
they
to be really careful. And honestly, when I do comp classes, I really watch that I'm not getting someone that's a lot bigger than me, and I tend to stick with black and brown belts,
yeah.
and because I know they can change the pace, they can control the pace depending on the situation, and still get a really good technical round, right?
Yeah, and I remember there was one female I was going with, and she's really good. She wins a lot of high level competitions, and I'm going with her, and she's gripping me and trying to do all this shit like it's no tomorrow. And I'm just like in my head, I'm like, if I actually smashed your leg right now, I would hurt you. And
We might even be talking about the same person. So I just go with the flow,
yeah,
and I'm like, okay, you know, they're super hyper aggressive, but I don't have to go hard.
yeah,
You know what? I might just hold on to a position a little longer. But if you expose your ankle,
yeah.
I'm taking it home
I
with
know,
me.
I know. But yeah,
I want a necklace just with all the ankles that I bring home. Right?
and then but going back to my cross training thing,
Yeah. Sorry, man.
that's my biggest takeaway from it, because
Yeah.
there's a certain level I think you need to have
Well,
before it's an
especially with
effective
the
thing.
MMA, especially with the MMA, and your gym doesn't cover all the. I expected, you know, we had a couple guys that were on the MMA side of things, right? And the club at the time didn't offer what they were looking for, so you know, it's just, it is what it is. But you want to come back for the best jits, though, that's our club,
Yeah,
right?
and that's what I did.
I had no problem with it. No,
I never
because we've
left.
done it. We've
Yeah,
done it,
yeah,
right? Well, who am I to say that you can't do that when I used to do it, right?
yeah. I never left Professor Omar's,
No,
even though he didn't provide the MMA and striking. I just
you were the MMA
yeah,
program. I'll give you
but
he
even
ran
that.
a great class, by the way. Like, I watched these guys. I would sit and warm up for jiu-jitsu, and these guys would murder each other.
Yeah, and then but I just realized he would be my professor for jiu-jitsu, and then the
Yep.
MMA stuff I would need to get it other way. And so I didn't have to leave. I just split my time, right?
Back
But
in the early days, though, when back in the gym where we had the ring, he was more open to where we had a boxing instructor. We had a Cabbagetown boxing instructor called Wesley. I learned a lot from him, and we had a couple different kickboxing, one Muay Thai and one regular, you know, American kickboxing.
yeah,
We had those coaches for a while, but I think once that ring went away and the location changed, you were the program at that point.
yeah.
You and Saj ran that program.
And but that's one of the mistakes, and I'm going to give a little
Yeah.
bit of a mistake to people who are making out there is when you open up a facility, make a fucking choice.
Mm-hmm.
If you are a jiu-jitsu guy, make a fucking choice and just stick to jiu-jitsu. Now, what I'm seeing out there is you'll have guys that are opening up a gym and they're specialized in jiu-jitsu, and then they realize there's money to be made on the other side, and
Sure.
they hire out, and it becomes this watered down piece of shit garbage.
Yep.
Right?
Unless it's managed very,
Right?
very carefully.
And that's why I always go on saying this is a little promotional thing here in my podcast. I am the number one mixed martial arts gym in fucking Leaside because I am providing it all
in
at
Toronto
the
for people.
in Toronto at the high level. Right? There's no watered down. It's all
Yep.
it's all legit. It's all legitimate Muay Thai, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and MMA. Right? The guys that are like, that's what I'm saying. Like, be confident in what you do, because if you're not confident in what you do, that's why you're losing your students. That's why people want to go on cross train, because they're not. I'm confident in what we do, and that I'm providing the best instruction possible,
Yeah.
and it's and I won't ever deviate from that.
And we're very focused at my gym, which is north of the city, Wabi Sabi, where it is jiu-jitsu,
Yeah,
but we make it the best possible facility oriented towards jiu-jitsu. Yes, there's boxing, and we're getting into other arts as well, but there's 6 o'clock classes. There's competition classes where we invite others from other gyms coming from all over the place 3 times a week. So we have this crazy competition class at 9 o'clock 3 times a week. Then we have 11 o'clock classes. Then we have
yeah,
evening classes. So it's like literally 7 days a week of jiu-jitsu, right? So it's I don't want to say factory, because you can look at that as a bad term, but we're really cranking out the skill, and we're really producing
nice.
some. But again, it's very focused, right? It's
Yeah,
very focused on gi and no gi jiu-jitsu.
yeah, and that's what it should be. That's the
Yep.
specialty of the gym. That's
That's
what it
our
should be.
specialty.
Then don't
We're all
change it.
jiu-jitsu guys.
Yeah,
I'm a wrestler. We have wrestlers. We have judo guys, right?
yeah,
We have judo black belts. We still kind of incorporate our style. I also ran. I'm off right now, but I ran a no-gi class where really 60-70% of the classes were just wrestling techniques. It's
yeah,
just me. It was my excuse to run a wrestling class, right?
yeah. And I wanted to, like, as we wrap up, because we've been going on for forever. I could still do this shit all
I
day.
could, yeah, me
Yeah.
too.
But
we're just getting warmed up.
yeah,
To
we're
be
just
honest.
the well, this is gonna take a while anyway. We were talking about earlier, and I wanted to kind of touch on it because it's a big fucking pet peeve of mine, is the watered down belts, right? And I had a conversation with Professor Bruckman. For those who don't know who he is, he's probably he's the OG of martial arts in Canada,
Of
right?
MMA
And of MMA and
yeah.
martial arts in Canada. I believe he's the most decorated. Him and Omar and a few others are the most decorated black belts without actually being registered by the
And
IBJJF. Yeah,
Monkey was the TKO
yeah,
champion for a long time as well. Back where George St. Pierre started. So.
yeah. Well, the facility I'm in is pretty rich, to the fact that Monkey used to train here back in the day. Used to be another place,
Yes.
and he went through a window here, and he shot.
Wow.
Right, and he's like, "Did you see that window?" I'm like, "Yeah, you fucked that up." He's like, "Yeah." Right. But so I had a big issue last year because I don't do gradings at my gym, right? I don't do gradings. I only do it for my kids every 3 months, 4 months. I hold a grading. For my adults, I don't do gradings, right? Because I don't believe that there are multiple people ready for the next level at the exact same time. I have students that are ready for stripes at a certain time. I have students who are ready for a belt at a certain time. And I don't believe in holding them back from it, because I've been held back
Not as much as me.
Yeah, not as much as you, but I've been held back in my black belt journey. I should be way further along, as you know. And because of that, I don't believe in gradings. I don't hold a formal grading unless I have. I actually haven't.
Okay, this is going to be a good debate, because
Yeah.
I'm completely on a different side. But I'll let you finish your thought
and
there.
So I understand why there's people with big associations.
No.
And
I'll give you my perspective.
Yeah.
I don't fuck
Right.
the big association
Yeah,
bullshit.
I understand why. And I've talked to some other parents who I've been friends with, and they have kids training at some of these
Sure.
big associations. But I talked to Professor Bruckman, and every year, especially around the holiday time, the Christmas time, you'll see the winter gradings, these mass fucking gradings. And I find it fucking hard to believe that you have, not you specifically, just you in general, have 12 to 15 to 20 students ready for a blue belt at the exact same fucking time. And if you do, like, there's no way you do. And if one deserved it 3 months ago, you should have gave him 3 months to fucking go. If one deserved it 4 months ago, if one deserved it last month, you should have gave it them that fucking month. I don't believe that the students are all ready for their blue belt at the same fucking time. And I watch these mass gradings and these pumping outs of belts on these fake kind of parameters, and it pisses me off, right? Because at my academy, and I just straight up say what I do, if
Yep.
I see somebody like, I know I'm watching this person, like let's take first stripe white belt. There's just a couple things I look for first stripe white belt. It's not really technique. It's really, do you kind of understand jiu-jitsu in a little bit, in a sense? What are we doing here? Are you using a lot of strength, or like, so I look at like
For me, it's consistency.
yeah, I look at their progression over the last
Yep.
6 to 8 months. Like when you started, you were going crazy. Now you're just going a little less crazy. You're in control.
Well, you're using technique,
Yeah,
right?
you're
Like,
using,
even though it's rudimentary, you're still
right.
starting to apply
Yeah,
jujitsu.
I look at yeah, exactly. I look at somebody when they give when I give them a first stripe, is, are you fighting or are you trying to do jiu-jitsu right now? That's the first stripe for me,
That's it.
right?
Yep.
And so not everybody's ready for that at the exact same time,
No.
right? Some are ready for it at that 6 month mark. Some are ready for it at the 8 month mark. Some are ready for it, whatever. So I give it to you based upon when I see it, right?
Right.
For my blue belts, I give it to you based upon when I see it. I don't hold anybody back. When I see it happen, I give it to you. And it bugs me when I see these mass gradings.
Okay, but you're going extreme now. So let me give you my perspective. So there's nothing as special as being surprised to get your belt.
Yes.
Right? So that's always nice. And then there's those big factory belt grading things where everybody's getting something and everybody's getting graded no matter what.
Yeah.
On a periodic time. Where I'd say the way we've done it in the past and the way we're doing it with this club, I like it. I'll tell you why. We do 2 gradings a year, and they're an event, right? It's a big event, right? And if you're getting a whole belt, you will be pulled out of the line, and we're going to Shark Tank you. And everybody Shark Tanks the new belts. And if you're getting a black belt, well, you're going to get mauled by every black belt that we have until you're absolutely exhausted, and we pick on you.
Yeah.
Why I think that's good is it builds that excitement of it's an actual event. Am I going to get graded? Am I not going to get graded? But we make sure not everyone's going to get graded, right? That's the other thing.
That's the problem, though. And at a lot of the associations, I'm not going to say who the.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
We show up, you get a stripe.
We hold back. Right. And if you don't show up, you don't get nothing. And you'll have to wait for the next grade. Like, again, I get what you're saying. I see the value. And I'll tell you why it's a pet peeve. I see the value of only giving belts when you think they deserve it. I personally think once you think they deserve it, unless there's some sort of major tournament coming up or reason that you should give it to them sooner than later, or a black belt.
Yeah.
You should get a black belt once you deserve it, and here it is. Congratulations, right? And do a whole event around it. What's 2-3 more months, right? You've worked hard, and you make them work even harder. Hey, you're close, man.
Yeah.
And I've actually gone up to one individual that I'm thinking of right now, 4-stripe blue belt, and he's been a 4-stripe blue belt. He was looked over the last one, and he's been working effort. I go, you're starting to look ready for this kind, but we need to see more. Yeah. And it incentivized him to sign up to a tournament. Okay. Right. And he actually did his first tournament. Yes, his first tournament at blue belt with 4 stripes. Right. And you're like, oh, you should have done them. Well, we've been saying that, but he hasn't. But now we're like putting the pressure on him. You really want that purple belt? Well, you gotta show us something more here. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not a pet peeve, but my experience for medium-sized gyms that give sporadic belts is and this might ring true, is people get forgotten about.
Okay, I see that. Yeah.
And you know, it's like, oh, this person gets a belt, that person gets a belt, and I'm like sitting there. It just happened to me. I'm like, the fuck am I, chopped liver? Like
Yeah.
I kicked that guy's ass. I don't. My experience, I shouldn't feel that. Like, you know, I hug people, you know,
Yeah.
and say, oh, congratulations. I'm like, I just fucking murdered you. Like,
Well,
you know,
well,
what the hell is going on? I know
well.
we're on our own individual paths,
Yeah.
but that pissed me right off.
Well, what you're mentioning though is a failure on the instructor, right?
Sure, but it's
Huh?
hard when
And
you have a lot of
honestly,
students.
Pat, it's not hard. No, I don't.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't buy that excuse because guess what? I'm running a solid business. I have a fucking database. I look through my
Hey,
database.
give me 1 second.
Yeah, yeah.
I got to put a pause. We got to
No
split
worries.
this. Okay,
Yeah,
hang on 1 second.
it's all good.
I hope you edit your videos.
No, it allows me to pause, so we're good. We're good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So for example, I would say I agree with you. There's sometimes you will forget people, right? But I have a database and I look it over, right?
Good for you.
And what I do is I don't do time. Time is not a factor for me. It's all skill based, right?
Agreed.
But I will look and say, hey, this person has been training with us for now 6 months. I will start paying attention to their skill set in class. And that's how I do it. So I look at, like, for example, I'm open for 2 years now, which means on the time frame kind of perspective, a lot of my originals are pushing to that blue belt level on a time frame perspective.
Yep.
Right? So my eyes are now saying, okay, I'm looking at these individuals who have been training here for now 2 years, and a lot of them are getting close to that. So I start paying attention to them. Right. So I think that, like, while yes, I agree with you, not like, some people do get overlooked. I put the blame on the fucking instructor because you should know when someone started training at your fucking facility. If you're running a clean operation, a clean business, you should fucking know.
It depends on the size of the gym.
You
Man.
get what I'm saying?
It can get out of hand though. That's the challenge.
That's why you fucking don't be cheap and get a software. I got software.
Yeah.
I have a software.
I tried to use the
right?
software, man. It's a pain in the
I have
ass.
I have a software. I look. I'd be
Oh,
like, this
man.
guy's
I
training
used
here.
to use Clubworks.
Yeah.
And
No, but I look and I'm be like, this guy's been training for 8 months. I'm going to start evaluating his skill set now, right? And I think it's the most honest way of doing it. And then the other thing I find is we come from the same place. You get that Shark Tank, and the last one is Professor.
Yep.
And he beats the shit, and it's a
we do that too, but yeah,
it's a lost kind of thing, right? And the reason I remember, I tell everybody, all my students, if I have my belts on the wall here in the gym, and I only have 2 stripes on my white, 2 stripes on my blue, and there's no more stripes on my belt because I stopped going to gradings. I didn't go to gradings.
Well, Omar didn't have gradings.
Well, that's
I don't know if he did.
Yeah, no, he had. I didn't go.
Yeah.
Because 1, I'm not paying for it, but 2, when I deserve it, I will get it.
Yeah.
Right. And when
to me, the way I treated it, especially when it was so hard to get a belt, my whole goal in life was, I want to prove to you without a shadow of a doubt that I'm the next level.
Yeah.
And I want people to come up to me and say, why aren't you that belt yet?
Yeah.
Like that's what I always strived for. Right.
And so that's one of the things I'm hellbound on, because I love the fact that when somebody deserves that belt so much, right, and you beat they do that Shark Tank.
You know where it gets tricky though, Ashton, and
when you have multiple, right?
No, when your club matures a bit and you have a lot of older students and they're on a different path. So yes, your expectation level is still much higher, but you might have to lower the performance.
Yeah, no, everyone's individual.
Depending on the age and what life path.
Yeah, everyone's individual. I'm not, like, for example, I have a 40.
I'm guilty of that, right? I'll see a couple of older guys that are purple belt. I'm like, you fucking suck, man. I kill it, but they have the technique, you know.
Like, I have a couple older guys who train, and they're not ever wanting to compete or whatever, and I don't hold them to the same
Yeah.
grading standard. And when they're ready for that belt, I'm not going to give them 10 fucking guys before I do it. I'm going to give them maybe 3. You get what
we
I'm saying?
do. We murder
Yeah,
them. We
but you under,
it doesn't matter who you are. If you're getting a belt, you're
no,
getting
you're getting fucked.
murdered. Yeah.
But
Oh yeah, you're
my
getting fucked up.
point being is like I find it so like the part of me that makes jiu-jitsu so amazing is I remember a few different things in life. I remember when I got married. I remember when I had my 2 kids. And I remember every day I got a jiu-jitsu belt. Right?
I remember who I rolled with
Yeah,
when I got the belt.
exactly. But when you're doing these gradings the way you're doing it now, they're so impersonal.
We try to make it as personal as
you
possible.
get what
Again,
you understand
we're
what I'm saying, though.
we're not McDojoing it. I understand exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. There's something about when you go through that Shark Tank and the last guy is Professor and he's beating he doesn't wrap it around you while you're standing up. I'm wrapping around you while I'm fucking mauling you.
Oh, you're doing the Omar play,
yes,
eh?
And
Nice.
I go one step further. I don't tie it around their waist. I wrap it around their fucking neck like a python, right? And then I choke them with it around their neck like a python. And then I get it up and then I wrap it around and it sticks with you because there's only 5 belts, right? There's only 5. And you get the first one when you join, right? So you only get that experience 4 more times. And my job as a coach and an instructor is to make sure that great. You remember that for the rest of your life and not, hey, Junior, come up here. Let me wrap it around you. You don't remember that, right?
No, again, we try to make it an event. I get what you're saying. We try to make it an event, though. That and not as, oh, you're getting your belt amongst everybody else. No, there's still you're each going to get your individual Shark Tank. You're still going to get called up in front of everyone so we can praise you and blah blah blah, throw you and that. Hey, let me ask you a stupid question, but this is one I like asking.
There's no such thing as stupid questions.
I don't even know why I said that.
That's the dumbest thing. There is stupid questions.
Do you do a gauntlet
for which?
After not gauntlet, whipping. Do you whip your students after they get a belt?
No.
I hate that. I think that is the most stupidest caveman thing that I just don't like it.
I get it, but if I don't get it. I understand. Okay, it's a ritual that people commit. Here's my thing. If I just beat the shit out of you, why do I need to whip you?
Why do I need to? Why the fuck are all these other people whipping me? Right? Then, like if they were all my best buddies and you know, and my teacher, maybe I would. But you know, they're all lined up and they all get fucking crazy. Like they all want to whip you with and they did that. I missed the grading because of an illness, and they did it. Someone has suggested, and I saw the video, and I saw how crazy people were getting, and I'm like, that is the stupidest thing. I said, and I went back to the gym, and I told the new owner James and Nate, I go, and I talked to the other older black belts as well, and I go, why didn't you guys say anything? It was like, oh, you know, it was a visiting black belt that suggested it as well.
Yeah,
and I said, don't ever do that unless you want me to walk out of the gym, because I don't want any part of that.
Yeah.
I just don't like it. And it's not for everybody. If we're all a bunch of goons, then great. You know, like if we're a bunch of meatheads.
I
might have liked it when I was 20, but you know.
I don't do it.
We know.
I don't believe in it. And the other thing I don't really, and we might disagree on this, but I don't really agree with a black belt getting, or a brown belt getting gauntleted for the black belt.
I mean hit.
Yeah. No, just for his black belt. I think if you're...
I didn't get... No, I think we do with my club.
Yeah, this is my opinion. And then
yeah. I'll let you finish
because I've seen so many videos on YouTube with these guys going through this the instructor, this other black belt telling them to do these 3,000 techniques, and then you have
that's stupid.
And then you have to fight 30 guys after.
I hate that.
Here's my thing: if you're a legitimate jiu-jitsu black belt, then you should just fucking get the black belt. You shouldn't have to go. Like, I will test you for blue, I'll test you for purple, I will test you for brown in a gauntlet style to see how you fight. But if you are legitimately ready for the black belt, for the ultimate belt in the fucking in the jiu-jitsu, I shouldn't have to test your mental fortitude to see if you will quit. Because if
Yep.
you will quit, you're not ready for it.
Yeah, we do it because it's all the other black belts, and it's only black belts that are allowed to do it to a brown belt getting a black belt.
Yeah.
And we do it just to show our love and beat the shit out of you, because it's our only
Yeah.
chance to be able to do it, right? And it really, it's not like, oh, he has to show us what he knows, or he has to fight white all the way to black. No, it's only the
I've
black
seen
belts
that shit. I've seen
that's
that shit.
stupid. That's stupid. Why do you have to fight a white belt?
It's
Like,
all over.
and why
It's all over
should
YouTube.
you, if you fought already for 10, 15 minutes, and again, we've already been rolling for an hour, and some purple belt goes in that's 50 pounds bigger than you, well, that's not right.
Well,
That's not, what are we getting out of that?
And it's coming from a guy who's had injuries like I've had.
Yeah.
That's how you fucking.
That's when you get hurt.
That's when you get hurt. It's all over the internet. These guys are going from white all the way to black. It's dumb as fuck.
It's stupid.
If you're a legitimate jiu-jitsu black belt, I shouldn't have to test your mental fortitude.
You've already proven it.
You've already proven it.
Yeah.
And if you have to prove it to me, then you're not ready for it.
Then you're not a black belt.
Right? And that's one of the things. And that pisses me off. And here's the last thing I want to touch on before we wrap this shit up is I spent the entire weekend at Ontario Open, biggest tournament in Canada, and like we were talking about, we're both. I appreciate sports jiu-jitsu to the maximum. I understand it, but there's certain things that are going on in jiu-jitsu right now that I just absolutely fucking hate. And when I say that, I mean it genuinely. Like, and I spend a lot of time at home after I teach here, because I'm sure you do this too. You'll teach a whole fucking class, and then it'll look like dog shit. So you'll go on YouTube and you'll be like, how do I break this down even further for my students? And then I'll go down the rabbit hole. I'll start looking at black belt matches and all this kind of shit, right? My biggest pet peeve is when there's two fucking guys sitting on their ass staring at each other, right? And
double guard pull.
And here's the thing. I'm not against the guard pull, because I have just had my second ACL surgery. What do you think I'm doing right now? Do you think I'm wrestling? No, I'm guard pull.
I'm 53 years old. And my knees aren't, I'm a wrestler, but I can't do it anymore. So most of the time I'm pulling guard unless I really feel good.
I'm still okay with wrestling, but I've just had
double guard pull. I get what you're saying.
I've had second ACL surgery. So right now in this phase of my return to sport, I'm pulling my guard most of the time. Yeah. Right. And I'm wrestling up if I need to get to my top position. In a few months, I will change the strategy a little bit, but if my knee doesn't feel good, I'm going to pull guard. Right. But now I'm seeing two guys. This is the match. It starts two guys. Boom. Yeah. They sit.
Double guard pull.
And they're fucking on their ass. Yeah. Right? And I understand the leg lock game. I'm not stupid. I get it.
No, but to me, I sit up right away, so I get my advantage, and I start from top.
My point exactly. I have watched so many quote high level matches that were
dude, it happens at the top level in the world.
IBJJF, right?
Oh, IBJJF.
I'm calling out Ontario grapplers here. I'm watching. You're supposed to be the cream of the crop of your belt level, whatever it be, blue, black, brown, fucking purple. I don't include white. I don't give a shit, because white, actually, you don't see double guard pull. Actually, I didn't see any double guard pull. I just saw
they like to stand more.
Yeah, I saw irrational wrestling. A couple of my guys, three of my guys got finished with arm bars from irrational wrestling, right?
Okay.
But blue, black, or blue, purple, brown, black. If two people are sitting making eye contact doing jiu-jitsu, one, that's fucking gay, and two, you're not doing jiu-jitsu anymore. It's either you attack the fucking leg lock or the other person get the fuck up, right? Yeah. I'm watching entire matches where two people are sitting staring at each other. That is not jiu-jitsu, right? Yeah. And I don't care how much you're attacking a leg lock. That is not what, and this is frustrating me, because part of me as an athlete, right? I'm not old. I speak like a more older grappler, but I'm not old. I'm 36 this year, right? I'm still in my athletic prime, so to speak.
Yep.
But because of my injuries, I've taken a step back from competition, and a part of the thing that's making me avoid going back into jiu-jitsu competition specifically is because if you're going to sit there and fucking look at me, I'm going to have to hit you in the fucking face, right? Because it's not jiu-jitsu. I'm watching two people where you can clearly just come up to your knees and you have the top position.
Yep.
Right? Sit there and play footsies all fucking day and get up after and tie your belt and
Yeah.
pretend like you were just in a fucking fight when you were sitting on your ass the whole time. There was no active passing. There was no aggression. There was no trying to actually win. All you were doing was trying to play footsies with the motherfucker for 10 minutes, and you expect to see.
I tell this to the up and coming guys all the time. You need to be just as good on top as you are in your guard,
Yep.
right? And you can't neglect it. And that's just, if you can't pass a guard, if you can't pass a good guard, then you're not doing jiu-jitsu. You look at the top, the real top guys in the world, right? They can pass like
Yeah.
beautifully, right? And Gordon Ryan, okay, I'll just pick Gordon Ryan. He's one of my favorite no-gi guys. He's so very he doesn't even have to go fast unless he has to go fast, but he'll play guard, he'll pull guard, he'll play his butterfly, he'll play, to get the but once he gets on top, he has a very specific passing system, and he's happy to work on his passing system. Pressure base, keep pushing forward, get the head on the arm, and there's pressure forward, and it's like a win is a win is a win, right?
Right. But when I see that though, I view it as laziness. I think it's lazy.
The double guard pull?
Yes. I'm not
No,
I'm not against the
it's
double
not lazy. No, it's not lazy. It's lack of having a full breadth or skill set of all of jiu-jitsu. So they think I'm going to win if I play guard.
Yeah, but I'm not against the double guard pull. I'm against the fact that you stay there sitting on your
sitting.
ass,
No,
right?
I get what you're saying. No, it's the stupidest thing.
I don't think it's lack of jiu-jitsu. I think they have great jiu-jitsu, most of them. I think it's lazy. I think it's fucking lazy. I think
they just don't believe in their passing.
Yeah, well, they don't believe in their passing, and they don't have the fucking stamina, the balls to get up and actually get into a fight.
Yeah.
Right? You
want
if jiu-jitsu guys want to call it a fight, then actually get up and get into a fucking fight. Right? Until then, it's a match. You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
And so I'm looking at these guys, and they're very talented. I'm not taking anything away from their skill set or whatever. I'm looking at them, and I'm like, you will always just be a regular old sport jiu-jitsu guy, and it will die at a certain level because you don't want to actually get into a fight and an altercation with this person. And I was sitting there, and I was my art professor was there, and I walked over to one of his blue belts having a match, and I'm watching the match, and his guy is on top the entire fucking time and pushing the pace and trying to get the pass and doing all. The guy on the bottom has a really good guard retention, right? He's making occasional attacks, but I'm a firm believer that it's the guy on the top who is pushing the pace. And even if it's 0-0 and there's no advantages piss me off and there's no penalties, but I understand why they're there. It's a sport and we have to keep it kind of moving. There's got to be a winner loser. I think we should have extra time on every match that's even. 1 minute, sudden death, and then it goes to ref's decision. Because 1 minute won't impact the length of a tournament at all, right? But I watched Professor's guy lose a decision because they say that the guy on the bottom was attacking. And to me, it's bullshit.
He was Brazilian ref, or was it a North American ref?
We're gonna go on a limb. It's probably a Brazilian ref because you know how it's. Yeah, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. And so they always favor the guard when they're doing a referee's decision, that's not jiu-jitsu, as opposed to aggression.
Yeah,
which is, I guess it's an American mind. When I say American, North American, I guess it's a North American mindset where if you've done nothing to me and I'm being the aggressor, you're just defending the whole time. So the defense means lose, right? You're defending.
And if this is my point now, and if jiu-jitsu wants to be considered as a fight, if you want to be able to say I have a fight, then the aggressor has to be the winner on the top. And
do you know how many matches I've lost because of this?
Yes, I know.
Because I want to be on the top, right? I got stuck in a guy's close guard the whole freaking fight, and I'm the only one trying to do it. And he's holding on. He got a couple penalties, and he just held on for the last 2 minutes, and they were slow and giving him his warnings, and I would lose the fight. Right? It's happened on a couple occasions.
And I told my daughter, because she's like, Daddy, my guard was really good. In her first match against a really big girl, she's like, Daddy, the guard. I'm like, I'm so proud of you. You were so undersized. You had a great guard game, whatever. She's like, how did she win? And I'm like, because she was on top.
Yeah.
right? And I'm like, all you had to do is in the certain situations, instead of being flat on your back and chilling, if you had just got in and scrambled up, you would have won, even if no
Yep.
points were scored. You have
Yep.
to be on top. Being on top means you're the aggressor.
There should be an appreciation for it from the perspective of, we always talk about in jiu-jitsu the evolution of the position, right? You're always trying to advance your position.
Yeah.
And the original thought process was because striking was part of that, right? So, or even the strangle. So the best position you can get is someone's back, because you can strangle them, you can hit them, you can do whatever you want,
Yeah.
right? But when you got mount, pound, right? But if you're in someone's close guard and they're not doing anything other than keeping their legs closed, well, are they really in the superior position? Or are they going to get ground and pounded, right?
Yeah.
So, I don't like how some of the refs come to that conclusion. And I, quite frankly, I get tired of seeing, I'll start saying something, I realize it's like talking to a wall. So
Yeah.
I don't even complain anymore, but
And
but it is an issue. I think it's an issue.
it's a fucking huge issue. And the other issue I've seen, and I want to address it, and I think it was my podcast, I can do whatever the fuck I want. I don't give a shit, right? But one of the biggest flaws I see with refereeing, and especially in jiu-jitsu, and this is why I appreciate ADCC a little bit more than other organizations. There is what I would call a momentum phase. So you're in, I understand, and this is, it's so stupid how some gyms are just like putting in pits in their fucking gym now because they put slanted walls. I'm like, you guys are fucking retards, right?
It looks cool.
It's a yeah, put it as a business owner, if you put a fucking slanted wall, you've just eliminated a bunch of square footage. You're a fucking retard, right?
Yeah,
that is,
I agree with
that is grappling space that another 2 or 3 groups.
Precious grappling
Yeah,
space.
you're a fucking retard. If you're putting in a slanted thing because you think it's cool because Craig Jones did it, I have nothing against the actual competition, but you're a fucking retard on a business sense.
It's not the only competition, so
right? You get what I'm saying? But we have this big matted area, right? In this ring space that you should be in. Now, in the OJA, there's a very clear kind of border, right? Between the mat space and the other mat space, right? And what I'm noticing is there's a lot of referees, and fuck you guys because you're fucking a lot of athletes, is as soon as there's a transition and it gets towards that borderline, they pause the action and then they reset it in the middle. And there's a clear, like, for example, on the weekend, one of my guys did a reversal into a takedown, and because it was on the border, they didn't count it, and they reset them standing. It's a fucking horseshit. And then you reset them in the middle, and I could have been putting a certain pressure on the leg and getting that thing collapsed.
Sure.
And you now reset me and given this guy an opportunity to open his hip back up and reestablish position. Fuck you.
So I'll give you my view. Having been a ref as well, and watching countless smaller tournaments and even big ones, because I've been to quite a few of those. It depends on the ref. The problem with the smaller tournaments is the refs get lazy. And they're just there clocking time, and they're not really paying as much attention. I've seen so many inconsistencies as to the boundary and when they're going to call it. Like one of my students was complaining at the tournament. He was taking the guy down, and the ref said stop, and the other guy turned around and threw him, and he still counted the other kid throwing him after the guy said stop.
Yeah.
And he listened, and I'm like, okay, I wasn't there, I didn't see that one, but I've seen similar stuff happen before. So there's that inconsistency. There's the referee does have the go ahead as part of our training. We do have the go ahead to let it play a little bit, to wait for the perfect time to stop the action.
Yeah.
That said, it's also decided on how close is the action
to the
other mat,
right?
Okay, but if there's plenty of room, right, at least let it get to most of them. Some of them say stop, in the most stupidest times, like you said. And then when they're resetting, I'm screaming. I'm like, he didn't have that. He doesn't even have that. And they look at me like I grew a second head. I'm like, at least I paid attention on what position they were in.
On Saturday, on Sunday.
See how passionate I'm getting?
I know. But that's why I thought it would be a good note to finish the podcast on it. Because on Sunday, one of my guys, he's fighting this weekend. He did a jiu-jitsu tournament. One of my guys in the transition near the scorer's table, he got the guy in an armbar.
Yeah.
And they reset it. And he lost
in the armbar?
Yeah. They reset it during the transition while he was setting the armbar up and pulling it. And then he ended up losing the match on points because there wasn't enough time to get the sweep when they reset it. Let it fucking play out. Right. And especially
if nobody's going to get hurt.
Exactly.
It's not near anything. Let it play. And again, the difference here is between judo. Judo is the fucking worst refs in the universe. Okay. Yeah. Judo, forget about it. They're all, half of them are overweight. I don't even know why they're on a judo mat. Right. It's just ridiculous. Yeah. At least in jiu-jitsu, we have a good community from the perspective they're all actually athletes and know what's going on when they're looking at it.
Yeah.
They're all actually active athletes in jiu-jitsu. So they know, they could tell right away, oh, if he goes back for an armbar, he's going to hit those other people fighting over there, or he's going to hit his head on concrete if he picks up the person and throws him. But if it's an armbar, it's at the edge. They're still on the mat. No one's going to get hurt if it happens. And then you have a decisive end to the match. Let it go. There's no rule when we got our training that says we have to stop it.
I had another match with one of the
maybe it changed, but that was a while ago.
I had another match with one of the students I was talking about earlier. I was telling him to be a fucking man, right? He did the takedown into the other mat space where they weren't even having matches. There was no matches going on. It was just his match, and then the end, and then they had two blank mats. Sorry.
Yeah, but there's a certain distance.
Dude, it wasn't at the end of it. It was just at the border of it, motherfucker.
If it's the border, that's fine. If it's the border,
it was the border, motherfucker. Let them fight.
Then it's the ref.
Right? You understand what I'm saying? And I hate to get
it used to be even tighter when I wrestled, by the way. So it was even more contentious in wrestling. So it was almost like as soon as a foot or hand went out, they would call it. And again, the difference is there's only a couple different positions you would restart at in wrestling, whereas in jiu-jitsu you're trying to recreate the position, which is bullshit half the time.
Yeah, and it really takes away from a lot of athletes. I've seen
the momentum,
right, and not just my athletes. I'm seeing it with other gyms and other teams, and it's really unfair. And it's one thing that I think if Ontario Jiu-Jitsu wants to be taken seriously, I think it's a change they need to make with the refereeing. Because
I think it's more training, maybe more training and
maybe less Brazilians. I don't know. I'll say that fucking there. I'm gonna fucking say it. I don't give a shit.
I'll give I always look, and there's certain Brazilians I like, but most of them, as humans, they're all great. I want to train with all of them. But as referees, they're absolutely horrible referees.
Yes.
And they almost want to start a fist fight with you if you disagree with them on a call. That came close to me a couple of times.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm getting in the guy's face or anything, but I don't mind them being the refs because they need the extra money. They're here on a visa. But
I don't give a fuck.
They need, what they need is maybe they need somebody to come around and watch how they ref and scrutinize, and don't be afraid to fire somebody if they're not doing a good job.
See, here's where you're nicer than me.
Yeah.
You're fucking my student. You're fucking another athlete. Fuck you. You lose your job. You do it properly.
It's hard.
You don't do it at all.
It's hard, dude. Again, you got to try being a ref. Like your mind becomes numb when and I see them giving more breaks, but I've done a stint or two that was like 4 or 5 hours, and then your mind is just numb. Like you're like, oh shit, did I miss that?
I'll give you another one, and this one really pissed me off. And I've looked at this lady a little bit differently now that that situation happened. It was the last year, the Nogi Ontario Open. One of my Ukrainian guys, I was just throwing this motherfucker around, throwing him, and his knee skinned open. So when there's blood, they stop the match. So he threw this motherfucker. So picked him up, dropped him. inside control, right? She stops it right away because of the blood. It takes like 2 minutes for them to get the medical team over to get the blood off the mat and to put a bandage on his knee so they continue. I'm not against any of that. That's all fine. But then when she restarts the match, she restarts it standing and doesn't give him his 2 and his 3. And I'm fucking yelling at her. I'm screaming at her. And my guy ends up winning. Barely. He got tired right at the end and sacrificed a little bit of pointage, and he barely won. And she goes up to me and she's like, "What's the problem? He still won." I'm like, "What's the problem is if he didn't win, you fucked him, you piece of shit. And you're going to go home and you're happy. And that kid has just worked his ass off for that fucking medal that you just stole from him. That's a piece of shit move." Right? And
I'm wondering if it's the same ref I'm thinking of, but
fuck them. I don't give a shit, right? You know my personality. I call people out when they do bad things, and I expect people to call me out.
No, I don't want to. I don't want to say a specific name because then she might be reffing my kids in the next tournament, so she'll hold a grudge.
But yeah, that's a big pet peeve of mine, and I think it needs to be fixed on the entire jiu-jitsu scene.
I agree. Then they're constantly working on. I'll give Tony credit on doing an amazing job, and really things have come a long way from what they were 15, 20 years ago.
A long way, yeah.
When I first started, like when I started, you couldn't even see a timer, and they were flipping up scorecards in that, right?
Well, when I used to actively compete, you got there on the day and you looked at a fucking spreadsheet on the wall to see what your matches were.
That reminds me of my wrestling, and judo's still doing that. That's the pathetic thing. Judo is not advanced. You would think as an Olympic sport, they'd be way mature. Yeah, they write the fastest sheets that you got to go on a wall and look at, right? And it's like, oh, I'm fight number this.
Yeah.
Oh man, we could do a whole podcast just on judo competition. What a pathetic scene that is. Yeah. Maybe it's better in other countries, but in Canada, it's just disgusting. It's just absolutely horrendous. So when I look at our refs, I'm like, okay, there's a lot of room for improvement. I bitch on a regular basis, same topics that you've mentioned. But when I used to participate and my kids participated in judo tournament, I'm just like, what a piece of horse shit. Like you would think an Olympic sport like that would really regulate this kind of behavior.
I thought we weren't doing politics because Olympics is corrupt as shit, motherfucker.
Yeah, oh, it's so corrupt.
And but I see it as a club owner too. There's politics in jiu-jitsu too.
It's not as bad as taekwondo and karate and stuff like that, but because I participate in those kind of tournaments as well. That's all politics. Like it's disgusting politics. It's not that bad, but it's definitely there, and hopefully it's not growing. It's going away. So
one of the things I've noticed, and I'll end on this, right? Because I since I opened, and we're doing pretty successful. We're pretty successful, and we're like this past weekend we took out 14 or 15 students. Which was my biggest take to a tournament, which, mind you, is not a small amount to take. That's a big amount to take. Since I've opened and been putting in this work and grinding and building this place and bringing this team and this facility and my brand of martial arts, a lot of people are extremely nice to me, right? And the reason being is because this affiliation model, everyone wants affiliations and to add that kind of shit. And I make it evident, and I tell people this, I will never fucking affiliate my club with anybody. The amount of hard work that I'm putting in, my name is the only one that's going to go behind it. And even that, I'm against that. My name is not the name. It's the athletes. Yep. It's the athletes and the students that are putting in the work.
Well, you understand that's the maturity, whether it's mature or not, but that's the evolution of jiu-jitsu. It becomes the big team because back in the day when our club Ascension, we were a powerhouse, right? When we went to a tournament, it was like, oh shit, Team Ascension's here, right? We knew firsthand because guys would say it to us. But that's because everyone else was going from a single club perspective.
Yeah.
And then it kind of changed where you have the associations, and now we have the super associations, right? And they're just dominating they're just dominating the rankings at the tournament from, you know, a sheer size perspective. And there's only like two, arguably three clubs, associations, I should say, that vie for contention, you know, in the area.
And
So back to Omar, like, you know, there's still great athletes that are showing up, but we weren't showing up in the standings anymore because it, you know, didn't have the numbers.
and I'll tell this to everybody. We did well. I think we sent 14 or 15, and we came in with 10 medals. So we did fantastic. Well, you won't see our name on the top of the podium and the top of the team list because of the fact that I'm never going to affiliate my club, because the club is a collection of everybody. It's a collection of everybody. It's not me, right? And the other thing I want to bring into notice to people, because I want to make it better, right? I'm going to give a shout out to Prestige Fight Series, because I had two of my athletes compete on their kickboxing show about 2 weeks ago, and Eric and the guys who ran that show put the athletes first. For the first fucking time I've been to an event.
And the MMA scene has come a long way, because it was a shit show for even when you were competing.
That was just kickboxing. That was just
kickboxing.
Oh,
that was kickboxing.
Yeah, it was kickboxing. They fucking they decked them out. After weigh-ins, they had a chef perform food for them. They had these magazines where these kids, they're amateur fighters, but they're like, you gotta remember, as an amateur, you're not being paid. You're putting all your fucking time and you're not being paid. They had these magazines at every fucking table with these guys all decked out and looking like rock stars. And they they did it correctly. And the one thing I want to do with our club, and I'm not trying to, fuck it, I'm using it as a promotion. But the one thing, you go on our Instagram page, I'm not promoting myself. I'm promoting my athletes.
Sure.
Because they're the ones that are putting in the work. I am obviously the coach. I'm a big part of what's going on and why they're successful. But their success is a reflection of me.
That's just a good club, man.
Right?
That's just a good club.
Their success is a reflection of me. So why do I need to put my name on it? I want to put their name on it so that they can see the success, so that they had opportunities I never had. So I'm calling out all the martial artists out there, all the club owners, start putting everybody else fucking first. All of the big associations where you're putting your name on it and you're saying, you know, you're not doing shit. You're the guy that owns the facility, but those athletes are doing everything. So stop being a cunt and taking their fucking notoriety. Give them what they deserve, because I can't stand it when I see, I don't care how good you are. I don't care how good your jiu-jitsu is and how good of an instructor you are. The reflection is on them. If they're successful, then you should be happy. Right? So that's why when you look at our socials, and you look, it's not of me. There's one or two videos I'll put of me explaining something, whatever. But it's all of our athletes, because we're putting them first. All of our recreational students, because we're putting them first. And I think that that's a little bit of a steer in direction where these big associations are coming around. And they're kind of, oh, no, you're not the leader, bitch. It's the people who are making the academy the leader. Right? And
not all big associations are like that.
No,
but
not all.
There's a couple in Toronto area that definitely guilty.
Guilty. Anyway, anything else? So,
hey, man, we're going to have to do this again sometime.
We got another 10 hours to go. But let everybody know about your channel and where they can find you, Prof.
Yeah, so I started the Silver Grappler YouTube channel, and I have all kinds of videos. I'm still trying to figure out what the most popular style of videos are, but I'm covering everything from my thoughts on certain aspects of jiu-jitsu to commentary on my own roles. So I'm trying out a little bit of everything, Ashton, and the real goal for the Silver Grappler is for the older grappler. So I'm giving it a perspective for them, and a different thought process. So very, very niche for the older grappler. Now, if you're 35 and feel old, that's cool too. But
I fucking feel old, bro. I'm too.
I only started feeling old when I hit 50, to be honest. Like before that, I was killing, right? So,
You have
everyone's a bit different.
you have many surgeries as me. You feel old,
Yeah, I
motherfucker.
know. I saw you, brother.
Yeah.
I know.
But yeah, so
So
keep.
thank you for this
No worries,
opportunity, man.
and I'll shoot you off the files too, because like I said, I'm not greedy. I don't like, oh,
I appreciate that.
that's my content. No, fuck you. That's everyone's content. You're fucking like, we're all
I
just having
appreciate
fun
it.
and taking care. But one more thing, please make
Yep.
sure you like and subscribe to the channel, because what I'm trying to do with what I'm doing now is I had to take a break because I had to build my facility, and I had to build my gym and make sure the income for my family was kind of set up, and I couldn't divert my attention. And also to based upon the world, the podcast became political. I had some pretty cool guests
Yep.
on, right? Like Maxime Bernier, Melissa
Oh,
Lanzmann.
dude, I love, I'm your fan.
Right,
Like if you look at the old ones, it's
yeah.
only I'm commenting and like.
But my goal with what I'm trying to do is obviously people in Canada need to realize what's happening in terms of
Yep.
media. And my goal with Grinds My Gears is not just a singular focus podcast on me. It's I'm trying to build a network of other people so that you can communicate freely and say whatever the fuck you want within reason. Of course, you didn't go online and say you're gonna commit murder or some shit. But
Yeah.
I'm trying to make it, and I'm not even against people with opposing views. I don't give a shit. I think we're all entitled to it. But the world we're living in right now, platforms only want to promote their certain view. And so the Grind My Gears, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to build a separate company so that everybody that has a voice that wants to have it expressed and wants people to hear it can hear it on this platform. And it's going to take some time to grow, but
Oh yeah.
I need people,
especially with the YouTube algorithm, right?
yeah,
You gotta grind.
But I need people to like and subscribe and to spread it so that I can make that vision a reality. And I want to basically make it so that even if you have an opposing viewpoint, you can be heard and not censored, regardless of where you are in the world. That's the goal of what I'm going to try to create. It's going to be an uphill battle because my Instagram has been fucking censored like crazy. Like my personal one, oh boy, because
I go in X, and I don't have a public persona as much on Instagram and Facebook because I have to be politically correct.
Yeah.
But on X, man, especially the last
maybe
I'm like, my wife is like, will you get off the phone? I go, let me finish this one. I'm like, I need to educate people here.
The problem is I hate social media. I only do it because of business, right?
Yeah.
So I want to do the different ones, but I'm just exhausted of doing Instagram, so I'm just done.
No, I'm done. I'm taking a break now because I realized that month of me writing 20, 30 messages where trying to debate everyone, I realized I made zero difference because people are so set in their ways, right?
Right.
Forget about talking about policies.
Yeah.
Heaven forbid we talk about policies.
Yeah, and you might not even be talking to a real person.
That's the other thing too.
Right.
I've been botted to death. How come the only people that want to friend me are Ukrainian women that are super hot? Like, what's going on?
Well, the only people that argue with me don't have a profile picture. Right. So, anyway,
all right, brother.
Thank you for your time. This was fun, and we're gonna do it again for sure.
For sure.
Right.
Thanks.
Take care. Have a good one.
Take care, buddy.